billed as an investigation into Wisconsin's 2020 presidential election, but included testimony rife with unfounded claims of voter fraud and lacking in actual hard evidence. Forecast of a windy day for the area today, slight chance of precipitation late this morning. High today of 22 degrees, low of 10 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, it is the Holy Mackerel Monday edition. Welcome to it, my little buddy.
Hey, Khary, happy Monday to you, to Fancy Brian, our fair audience. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a good week.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Some best laid plans, Dom, but don't want to talk about those immediately. At least we try to lay plans. Republicans, they don't do much in terms of the laying of the plans. Tragic numbers I've seen today. America rolled over 300,000 coronavirus dead.
Yeah.
In the state of Wisconsin over the course of the weekend. 4,000 Wisconsinites have died from COVID-19. Have died, and the vast majority of the Wisconsinites that have died since the last time the Republican-controlled legislature has convened. And we don't get financial relief. I mean, hell, Dom, they still think it's a hoax, much like this election we held in November. It's all a hoax to them. Whatever is politically expedient, that is what they'll do. Doesn't matter if 4,000 Wisconsinites, 300,000 Americans have to die. I mean, I got the freedom to not wear a mask. Super spreading is freedom.
But super spreading has consequences, Khary, and the latest numbers out from the state of Wisconsin Department of Health Services are as such. Today, 2,122 new positive confirmed cases reported out of 7,350 total. My math says that's just under 29% infection rate, an additional 12 deaths and 77 hospitalizations, of course, coming off the weekend. Testing usually goes down, so we'll have to wait and see what happens on those numbers. Now, we have been trending downward, but still not great percentage numbers, certainly, and, another 12 dead.
Yeah, we're over 4,000 in the state of Wisconsin. When they talk about these tragic days in American history, and 3,000 deaths, 3,000 Americans dead in a day is just another day. I mean, we're still averaging like 50 Wisconsinites dead each day from COVID-19. And the Republicans don't even feel urgency to come and give people, a little something to live on through the holidays, Dom.
Well, if they want people to, stay home and not engage in order to keep this pandemic at bay as we start rolling out the vaccine, well, there should certainly be some support from the government in order to do so. You can't have one without the other. And unfortunately, Republicans and everyone else out there, $1,200 isn't getting it done. That was given 6 months ago?
That didn't cover our March bar tab, Tom.
No, jeez, come on.
Also, the fairly substantial big news of the great state of Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Supreme Court rejecting Donald Trump's election challenge.
Holy mackerel, folks.
Yeah, holy mackerel. And the electors have voted for Joe Biden. And my understanding, they've done so in all 6 of the swing states. But the fact that this was a 4-3 vote, Dom,
Yeah.
that's pretty troubling, dude. I mean, that's really troubling, a 4-3 vote at the Supreme Court.
Hagedorn, the lone conservative, apparently having the only one with any reason.
If
At
Dan
least I
Kelly,
agree with it, so it must be reasonable.
I mean, think about it in these terms, Dom. If Dan Kelly were still on the court, even if Hagedorn had sided with the Dems, with the the liberals, if you will, the good Bradley, and our pal, Dalit on the ballot. My bad.
Rebecca Dalit, yes.
Yeah,
Justice
and of
Dalit.
course Jill Karofsky now on the court. But had she not defeated Dan Kelly, this would have gone 4-3 the other way, regardless of Hagedorn's opinion that, oh my God, what the hell is this crap? Let me read from the reporting of Riley Betterkind. Wisconsin's 10 presidential electors cast their votes for President-elect Joe Biden on Tuesday, hour after the state Supreme Court denied President Donald Trump's request to overturn the election result by tossing out more than 220,000 votes in heavily Democratic Dane and Milwaukee County. The flurry of activity caps off a tumultuous post-election saga in Wisconsin that has now concluded, saving for the counting of each state's electoral votes on January 6 in Washington. And here's the troubling part. In a 4-3 ruling, 4-3, there were 3 conservatives that were all down for this. Written by conservative-backed Justice Brian Hagedorn and the court's 3 liberal-backed members, the court affirmed a circuit court's ruling that Biden won the election and dismissed Trump's challenge as meritless and far too late, but with just one more vote. However, the conservative-backed members of the court who dissented may have succeeded in tossing out ballots, Dom, that the Trump campaign challenged, potentially overturning the election result. We were a Brian Hagedorn away from overturning democracy potentially in the state of Wisconsin, Dom. Holy mackerel.
So the details on here, and I think this is really, we talked about this off the air, Cody, and did, the conservatives on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, cast their vote. And I think it was Rogansack actually used the word courage, kind of parroting what the president has said, parroting the pressure that this administration has put on the state and local and governmental officials and Supreme Court officials. Hagedorn was having none of it. And
to his credit,
the challenges raised by the campaign in this case come long after the last play or even the last game. The campaign is challenging the rule book adopted before the season began, Hagedorn said. Striking these votes now after the election and in only 2 of Wisconsin's 72 counties, when the disputed practices were followed by hundreds of thousands of absentee voters statewide, would be an extraordinary step for this court to take. We will not do so. I mean, that seems very
by
reasonable
1 vote margin
and logical.
By a 1 vote. How is this not a 7-0 ruling, Dom? I mean, okay, let's forgive the crazy Bradley. Let's say Rebecca was off there on her own island of Trumpism. How is this not a 7-0 or a 6-1 ruling? I mean, this tells you that we are 1 vote away, that close to freaking anarchy, that the ends justify any means. Doesn't matter about the outcome of the election. Doesn't matter that the Trump team didn't challenge any of these supposed ballot indiscretions, back in March or maybe October.
It costs so much money. How could they possibly do so? It was cheaper last time around, and now you give the president a big bill like this. How could that possibly be fair? We only had enough money to do 2 counties, ? I mean, this is what Troopers was saying at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I just got to say,
so we've just got to throw out those 2 counties. And they stiffed those 2 counties to date. Republicans in the state of Wisconsin, we'll get to that. They're stiffing Milwaukee and Dane counties, Dom.
Oh, hell no. Hagedorn went on to say, Hagedorn said the campaign's delay in not seeking relief until after the election was unreasonable in the extreme, a decision that could harm election officials, other candidates, voters in the affected counties, and voters statewide. Unreasonable delay in the election context poses a particular danger, not just to municipalities, candidates, and voters, but to the entire administration of justice, Hagedorn said. The issues raised in this case, had they been pressed earlier, could have been resolved long before the election. Failure to do so affects everyone, causing needless litigation. Let me repeat that: needless litigation and undermining confidence in the election results. It also puts courts in a difficult spot. Hagedorn called the predicament the Trump campaign found itself in after the election one of the campaign's own making. Hell yeah, they did it on purpose.
Dominic, do you watch any of the testimony on Saturday? I did.
I did as well. This is what my life has become. Yes, I had my pajama bottoms on and I was watching it. And I got to tell you, Justice Karofsky was on fire.
Well, she is quoted here at the Journal Sentinel Online, this story published over the weekend. You notice this quote, Dom. This lawsuit, Mr. Troupis, smacks of racism. Justice Jill Karofsky said, this isn't about the amount of money that this recount cost, she said. This is about disenfranchising voters in 2 counties, and only 2 counties in the state of Wisconsin. Well, Jill Karofsky defeated Dan Kelly. She also beat Ed Fallone. No offense to Ed. Ed's going to be a fine guest on this show coming up in like 10 minutes now. Former Supreme Court candidate. He is a Marquette University Law School professor, and he's a friend of ours, Dom. And Ed Fallone is coming on the big show. And of course, all of this an hour later irrelevant because the electors of Wisconsin and all the other meaningful swing states have now cast their ballots for Donald Trump. And electors, they're people, my friends, including Khary Penebaker, and he's going to join us on the big show at 3:30 today. Don.
Nice, man. We're just lining them up, and
we got our own Wisconsin elector joining us. I hope he wasn't faithless. I hope Khary didn't go overboard and vote for Donald Trump.
No, man, he tweeted out a picture. We retweeted it at Devil Radio. You can find it there. Khary Penebaker going to join us at 3:30.
And I've got to ask you, Dom, what should be the recourse of the citizens of Wisconsin against 3 conservative Supreme Court justices that would be willing to go along with the overturning of the will of Wisconsin voters, disenfranchising hundreds of thousands of our friends, neighbors, hell, maybe even us?
Yes, in person.
Because the ends justify the means, Dom?
In-person absentee ballots. Yeah, that was me. They want to get rid of that. And we've been doing this for years. There should be some recourse. Maybe a recall, Crudy?
We'll see. We'll see. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Ed Fallone along soon. Your phone calls next at 844-967-2789.
So you get nothing. You lose.
Please, it's too much winning.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Holy mackerel, folks.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just 2 buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say. Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Over the years, we have done our best to bring you the highest quality products our industry has to offer, and we are very excited to bring you a new location just east of the Capitol at 951 Williamson Street. Now with 3 locations, there's an Ignite Glass and Gifts near you, no matter which side of town you're on. Madison's favorite for glass gifts and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. Let's torch some glass at Ignite.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
We are all so dependent on our computers these days that any delay in service prevents you from connecting when you need it most. Dave from Community PC here. Our Tech Protect plan offers peace of mind with consistent and secure maintenance. But Community PC also offers immediate help for individuals experiencing problems with their computers. To learn more about our protection packages and immediate secure remote service, check out COMMPC.com. Community PC. We know what makes computers happy.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. And that's pretty cool.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us right now at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, the Wisconsin Supreme Court nearly overturned the will of all Wisconsin voters. But first, let's talk about the Packers. Crushed your Detroit Lions. Crushed them.
Oh, come
Crushed
on,
them,
man.
I say.
You're right. We absolutely should have talked before that because I would have taken that bet. You would have lost because while my dear Lions lost, they covered.
What was the spread?
I saw 9.5.
Oh, that was some generous hometown cooking, man. I would have given you 9.5. 9.5, really?
Yeah, yes, that was the spread. 9.5.
Just tells you how pathetic the Lions remain. Glorious NFC North champions. King of the North. Man.
Listen, that was a touchdown. We know it was a touchdown. The Lions, even
10
at home,
baby.
even at
10
home, keep getting the calls going against them. It's just terrible. Brian, defend it, man. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was in the kitchen and Amy goes, you know what? I'm not a Lions fan. I don't want them to win, but I think they just got hosed.
They always get hosed.
They've gotten hosed on so many calls. Calvin Johnson is still sitting there going,
Yeah, take that up with what was the guy from Dallas? Was that Des Bryant that got in that?
Hey, I'm just saying, while it looks like the final score is that my Lions lost, it ain't over. It ain't over. Oh no, we're changing the rules now, man. We're gonna hire Rudy Giuliani. We're gonna file some lawsuits. We're gonna sue and sue and sue until the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl.
I think you got that the last possession too. I think he picked up that ball before it went into for the onside kick. I think he got it.
I thought it was.
Well, he might have gotten that. So let's not contest that point in fact.
Well, all right. That one's fine. That one's fine. But everything else we'll challenge, especially the final score.
844-967-2789. A Supreme Court hearing on a Saturday. Everyone's going to have a grievance that doesn't have the NFL network this Saturday because Packers are playing on an oddball network. I checked. I think I've got it through Amazon, but not through my Hulu package, apparently. Let's go with some of the Supreme Court Justice, Jill Karofsky, a favorite of ours, Dom. Here she is. She was throwing haymakers at Jim Trupis. Cut 20, if you would. Wisconsin is not the normal. Cut 20.
This is not normal.
That's right.
Well
what
said, Justice Karofsky. Let's keep going down the sound. Cut 21, more Karofsky. It's also unheard of.
I do not know how you can come before this court and possibly ask us for a remedy that is unheard of in American history.
Well, until now, until it's granted. And by 4-3, it was nearly granted, Dom. More of Jill Karofsky. She's of the liberal branch. This also, it smacks of racism. She's talking about Jim Trupis. Well, not him specifically, but the recount of only the minority-centered Milwaukee County and the young Dane County, well, smacks of racism. Cut 22.
This lawsuit, Mr. Trupis, smacks of racism.
Jim Crow 2.0. I think that's what Wisconsin's Attorney General described the Texas lawsuit as, but let's keep going. More Karofsky, so un-American.
What you want is you want us to overturn this election so that your king can stay in power. And that is so un-American.
So your king can stay in power.
Yes.
And by the way, your king's not wearing any freaking clothes. You're naked, king. More of Joe Karofsky, cut number 24.
I cannot believe that you are going to come forward and you are going to accuse our fellow Wisconsinites from engaging in fraud in this election. The people of Wisconsin should be thanked for exercising their civic duty, for doing what is asked of them and coming to vote.
Well, Jim Trupis claims he and his wife, well, they illegally voted, Dom. He wanted to disenfranchise his very own
Well,
vote.
that's just what a great attorney he is, although he engaged in the same behavior that won, and everybody did, that won the presidency for Trump last time under the same rules. Well, this time, what are you going to do? My client is my client. And if my vote must die so Trump can win, I will martyr my vote graciously.
And 200,000 of your votes. One more from Joe Karofsky on Saturday at the virtual hearing, cut 25.
For you to say that anyone in Wisconsin engaged in fraud, for you to perpetuate that fallacy on the people of Wisconsin and the people of the United States in America in what has been called the most significant election in our lifetime is nothing short of shameful.
Shame.
They have no shame. There is no shame.
Or they wouldn't have voted 4-3. I mean, Bradley and you had no shame. But Rogensek and Ziegler, the fact that they went along with this 4-3 minority, the dissent. I'd love to read their written opinion at some point.
Patrick Marley at the Journal Sentinel does have one quote, and we'll get Ed Fallone's opinion on the other side of this break. But here's what Marley writes. The three other conservatives on the court dissented, writing they believed clerks violated the law with some election practices. Quote, the majority does not bother addressing what the board of canvassers did or should have done, and instead, four members of this court throw the cloak of timing over numerous problems that will be repeated again and again until this court has the courage to correct them. Chief Justice Patience Roggensack wrote for the dissenters.
Wouldn't that be the legislature's job? I mean, ultimately, that's what this lawsuit is all about, right? Overturning the will of the voters, giving it back to the legislature. Well, the very same Republican legislators wrote these freaking bills. They created this process, and they can clean up their own freaking messes. We don't need the judicial activists of the Wisconsin Supreme Court for that. Come back with us. Ed Fallone, a constitutional scholar, unlike Patience Roggensack, more devil's advocates.
This is not normal.
I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite a while.
We have seen a small increase in deaths, which is a good thing.
Taking on Ready Whitey Talk Radio on both sides of the dial, from Cross Plains to Cottage Grove. Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everyone. What? You mean it's not Christmas yet? Well, it soon will be. This year, Santa is available for virtual visits. Stay right in your home, and this real Santa will video chat with you and your children virtually. Yes, real beard, real suit, real belly, the real Santa. Go to my website, wishforsanta.com. That's wish4santa.com. Virtual visits start at $26. Have a very Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at Rocker Vodka.
Wisconsin's votes. I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. Wisconsin has cast its 10 Electoral College votes for Joe Biden. It came about an hour after the Wisconsin Supreme Court rejected a lawsuit from President Trump seeking to overturn the election results. With coronavirus vaccine doses limited, senior U.S. officials will be among those receiving them this week. It's part of continuity of government plans that now include terrorism and pandemics as threats to the nation and its leaders. An independent monitor will root out corruption in the United Auto Workers Union, and members will decide if they will vote directly on the union's leadership under a reform agreement aimed at avoiding a federal takeover. U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan, Matthew Schneider, says the UAW was set up to protect and serve its members.
Some of the leaders of the union lost sight of that mission, and they became corrupt. Instead of serving the workers of the union, those leaders greedily served themselves.
I'm Ben Tom.
Our most vulnerable veterans are isolated at hospitals, and during their greatest time of need, their loved ones can have little or no contact with them. Imagine having to shelter in place forever. Learn how you can help at healvets.org. Help Heal Veterans, with the support of citizens like you, is making things better together. Learn more at healvets.org. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans, a not-for-profit organization.
When it comes to the radio, we all have our reason to fight over the dial.
Sports talk, entertainment news. Sports talk, entertainment news.
But with some things in life, we can all win. Like at TD Ameritrade, where we offer 2 different mobile apps. TD Ameritrade Mobile is great for the investor who wants a simple way to track the market, while Thinkorswim Mobile offers a more in-depth trading experience. Visit tdameritrade.com/apps to find the one that's right for you. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Monday, December 14th. The state Supreme Court showed deep division Saturday as it contemplated a final push by President Donald Trump to throw out Joe Biden's narrow win in Wisconsin. The arguments, which rarely are held on the weekend, came amid a string of legal setbacks for the president. During the arguments, a federal judge in Milwaukee ruled against Trump, dealing the 7th defeat to Trump and his allies in 10 days over Wisconsin's results. The justices are expected to rule on Saturday's hearings before the Electoral College meets today at noon. The Green Bay Packers clinched the NFC North title for the second year in a row yesterday evening with a 31-24 win over the Detroit Lions. The Packers currently sit atop of the NFC with a 10-3 record and the tiebreaker over the New Orleans Saints. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
So folks, let's polka tonight and get to work tomorrow.
Tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's a Holy Mackerel Monday, Dom. I cannot believe the Wisconsin Supreme Court was one vote away from overturning the will.
I know you can.
Of all
It seems
Wisconsinites.
unbelievable, but you kind of thought that might happen.
Dominic, we got a fine guest. We welcome him back. He's a friend of the show, constitutional law professor at Marquette University, Ed Fallone. Ed, welcome back. You do teach constitutional law, do you not, sir?
I do every year.
Excellent. So I didn't mischaracterize you. And is it appropriate to call you Dr. Ed Fallone?
Oh, like Dr. Joe Biden. Huh?
Yeah.
Some lawyers like to flaunt that JD Juris Doctor degree, but most of us are smart enough to keep our mouths shut on that.
Well, that sounds smart, kiddo. Appreciate you doing so.
Yeah, right.
And let's talk about the serious news out of the great state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, by a 4-3 vote, decided, not to give the remedy to Donald Trump that he was seeking. But here's my real question, Ed. Does that mean that there were 3 conservatives that were willing to overturn some or all of 220,000 votes?
Well, you see, Mike, I wanted The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow to be my intro song because I'm optimistic. I want to just be thankful that this long, crazy litigation from the Trump campaign is finally over. But you point out the sad underlying dark truth, which is that, yes, we did have 3 justices on our Supreme Court who were willing to grant relief to the Trump campaign. So we were just one vote away from probably chaos, probably some sort of, conviction is always unwise in legal matters. But if 3 votes were there to agree with the Trump campaign, they may have tried to had they succeeded, issue an injunction to stop electors from actually casting their votes in Madison at noon today. And who knows what other mischief might have happened. But it didn't. The sun is coming up tomorrow. So let's focus on the good stuff.
Well, Ed, I know you've sought a position on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and you'd like to be there yourself, but your opponent, or at least one of your opponents, Jill Karofsky, played a big part of the hearing on Saturday. Sir, how do you assess how Justice Karofsky did in questioning of the Trump witnesses?
Oh, well, I'm not going to critique justices on our state Supreme Court as if they are students in my constitutional law class. It would be fun and entertaining, but certainly not appropriate.
We'll do that then, Ed.
What I will say is that really the only voice that mattered was Justice Brian Hagedorn, the conservative justice who has a very traditional view that judges should not roam freely remaking the law at will, and had the courage to back that up. And I think the more liberal justices, when you have a conservative who's flipping to your side, what you do is you step back and give them all the room they want, and you don't say anything that might mess it up.
Hagedorn's performance this year, the judicial independence that he has shown, that has perhaps been the only pleasant surprise of 2020. I know you're not here to critique Supreme Court justices, but I've got to tell you, I've really admired the courage that Hagedorn has shown. Any thoughts,
Well,
Ed?
I've always thought, Justice Hagedorn was involved in a very nasty election campaign against Lisa Neubauer from the Court of Appeals, and was subjected to a lot of criticism and abuse during that campaign from liberals. It is certainly clear that in a case dealing with clear constitutional questions relating to sexual orientation, same-sex marriage, even gender rights, I would probably disagree with Justice Hagedorn, I would guess. But we share a common view of the role of a judge, which is that, despite the judge's personal opinions and ideologies, they're there to decide legal questions and not to simply rewrite the constitutional law the way they would prefer to see it. And we had Justice Dan Kelly, who was defeated by Karofsky in the last race. And he was one of those conservatives who had a different view than Hagedorn. He thought it was his job to remake the law. And you can certainly read Rebecca Bradley's opinions and see that she shares that view. And Rogensack and Ziegler are sort of itching closer to it. So it's important to have someone on that court with integrity who understands the role of the court. And it's not to try and remake the legal world to their liking. It's just to decide the issues in front of them. And thank God, Justice Hagedorn has the courage of his convictions.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Ed Fallone, a constitutional law professor at Marquette University Law School, former Wisconsin Supreme Court justice candidate, joins us on the phone. Ed, let's talk about some of the specifics in here, if we could, please. Justice Rogensack writing for the dissenters that essentially the majority, throughout this whole thing under the cloak of timing, as in what the opportunity for the campaign to address many of these issues. They had plenty of opportunity to do that before this. And of course, Donald Trump won with these same rules in effect 4 years ago. What's your sense of the cloak of timing criticism from the dissenters?
Well, I think it's largely incorrect. I think in the law, in general, we don't like to see people gamble with the House's money. In other words, if you know you have a legal claim, but you hold back and wait and see how life will turn out, and you figure, well, if things break my way, I'm fine, but if they don't break my way, then I'll bring my lawsuit. The law doesn't like that. We don't like people who try to gamble with the House's money. And in particular, in election cases, we don't like people who see something that they think is a law violation related to how elections are to be held, but don't say anything and hold back and wait and figure, well, if I win, fine, but if I lose, then I'll sue. And so that's really the crux of Justice Hagedorn's majority opinion, is that there were four particular legal violations, not fraud, nothing wrong, but just misinterpretations according to the Trump campaign of the law that took place in Wisconsin. And Justice Hagedorn and the majority said, well, you knew about this before the election. You didn't bring your lawsuit then. You waited to see whether you won or lost. You lost. Now you try to bring it. That's too late. And I think that in election cases, generally speaking, that's the way judges around the country will rule. We don't want to see people sit on their rights and roll the dice and see how the election turns out and then sue if they lose.
Well, and again, now Troupis came forward to the Wisconsin Supreme Court and essentially said, this in-person early voting, well, although we've been doing this for over 10 years, that somehow now, and he engaged in the same activity, somehow now, Ed, this is illegal and must be thrown out. I mean, the fact that this has gone on this long and that our local election laws in the state of Wisconsin are interpreted by our election commissions, and obviously the Texas lawsuit failed simply because of that, the lack of standing for them to do so. But this is very concerning that Troupis would throw out his own vote, my vote, Ed, and many, many others for following the rules that were laid out to us by our election officials. There's still, apparently, according to Rogansack and the other conservatives, there's still a gap of understanding as to how this is actually supposed to be done, Ed. What's the remedy for that?
Well, wow, there's a lot packed into your question, Don. First of all, let me say that, yes, it is very troubling to think that we all have a right to vote and we follow the instructions we're given and we cast our ballot, and that there are apparently some justices on our state Supreme Court who think that they can retroactively say, well, we think you got bad advice, so your vote doesn't count. And that, I think, suggests that the right to vote would be very fragile, which is not something we want, that it could be taken away, yanked away after the fact. What we have here is we have a Republican-created Wisconsin Election Commission that administers our election laws in the state. We used to have an independent agency that was nationally respected, the Government Accountability Board. These were people who were completely nonpartisan, and they administered elections. And everywhere around the country, people pointed to Wisconsin and said, that's how you run elections without politics. The Republicans under Scott Walker did away with it because they had the temerity to actually enforce our election laws. They replaced it with the Wisconsin Election Commission, which was created to be political, to have 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats appointed based on political affiliation, knowing that they would disagree. The idea was to create an agency that would be powerless, toothless, and helpless in enforcing election laws. But that's what we have. And this Republican-created entity gave advice and interpretation of election laws, and now the Trump campaign is very upset about that advice. So I suppose there's 2 things that could happen. One is the state legislature, Republican-dominated, could try to pass legislation to change again the Wisconsin Election Commission into some other form, or the Wisconsin Republican-dominated legislature could simply go about rewriting our state election law, making it even more difficult to vote, ramping up more voter ID hoops to jump through, making it incredibly difficult to request absentee ballots, that sort of thing. And quite frankly, I think that that's probably the road they'll go down. It is clear that the Republican Party nationwide and in this state is all about making it harder for people to vote, and I'm sure they will attempt to do so legislatively.
Last question for me, Ed. Thank you for your time. Wisconsin Supreme Court came out with another ruling also today, basically saying it's up to the individual voters to determine for themselves if they are indefinitely confined. Do you see any opening for Republicans in this interpretation? And again, is that a remedy to be discussed in legislation versus the courts, in your opinion?
You're referring to the Jefferson County case that also came down today, which I got to tell you, I read it twice. I still don't understand it. It's a bit of a mess. It says it's up to the individual to determine whether they're indefinitely confined for purposes of requesting an absentee ballot, meaning that, the county clerk can't make a broad declaration that a whole group of people are indefinitely defined. And that's fine. I understand that. But it never really says, what does it mean to be infirm? And so, does that mean you have to be actually disabled? Does it mean, what if you are 95 years old and you're extremely susceptible to the coronavirus if you go outside? To me, that's infirm. But they don't really define what infirm means. So again, I think it's going to be up to the state legislature, and I'm sure that they will try to tighten who can request an absentee ballot without showing an ID, and tighten what the definition of infirmity is, and probably in such a way that a wide swath of disabled people find out that they have to show an ID with an absentee ballot.
Ed Fallone, just a couple more minutes. Our fine guest from Marquette University. Ed, we've passed the anniversary of Bush v. Gore once again, and the U.S. Supreme Court turned down the Texas lawsuit seeking to overturn Wisconsin's electoral outcome and a few other states. Ed, I was encouraged by that. It was a 7-0 decision. But there were 18 AGs and 126 Congress people that signed on to this. And on a federal level, what was your thought of the U.S. Supreme Court, their failure to act on the Texas suit?
Well, it's a very, very fundamental principle in the law that one state can't tell another state how to interpret its own laws, right? And so for Texas to file a lawsuit saying Wisconsin misinterpreted the Wisconsin statutes was crazy. And the fact that there's anyone, attorney general or member of Congress, who was willing to sign on to that craziness just tells you how much law is ceasing to mean anything. And now it's really just about power, at least in one of the two political parties.
Ed Fallone, our fine guest, Marquette University Law School professor, friend of ours. Ed Fallone, happy holidays. Hopefully we won't need to call upon you between now and Christmas, but, keep your phone handy, please, sir.
I will, and I hope Santa's good to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. 844-967-2789. Everybody's singing. I see you in your cars.
They'll go through court for years. At the end, there'll be who knows what happens.
No, you don't.
The courts agree with us, too. What's going on in this country?
No, they didn't.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
2021 Devil Radio advertising special starting at just $5.95 per month.
Call now.
You'll get 50 AM ads, 50 FM ads, and 50 live stream ads on devilradio927.com. 150 ads in all for just $5.95. But wait, there's more. Our Devil Radio team will help you create 2 professionally produced ads for free, and we'll play them in December for free. Let our audience support you now and no payments until 2021. Call Devil Radio now at 608-819-8255.
Tune in to Matt Flynn Direct. We'll be covering politics, all politics, from national to local, but from a Wisconsin perspective. This is open mic, no holds barred. You call in on any political subject. If you can say to a judge, the Attorney General of the United States instructed all the U.S. attorneys to investigate for fraud, which itself was wrong, anti-democratic. The U.S. attorneys don't go on a witch hunt.
Listen to Matt Flynn Direct every weekday from 6 to 8 a.m. only on Devil Radio.
Gotta cut you down.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive talk from Middleton to Monona, always streaming at DARNWI.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, Ed Fallone, constitutional law professor. He's got his doctorate, Dr. Ed, but he goes by Ed here. We appreciate you coming around, sir. Happy holidays to you.
I think there should be a little more judging of the justices on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but I can appreciate it. He may be there someday. Doesn't want to rock the ship too much, so I guess we'll be the ones to do that.
Dominic, saw an interesting breaking headline at the Journal Sentinel Online. Wisconsin's 10 electoral college votes cast for Joe Biden. In fact, we're going to have one of those fine electors, Khary Penebaker, a DNC member, joining us at 3:30 today. Also a friend of ours. I'm glad we have such great friends.
We do have great friends.
But Dominic, as Patrick Marley and Molly Beck are reporting at the Journal Sentinel Online, the GOP is pushing an alternative slate of Wisconsin electors. You know, sometimes I don't think bastard people is a strong enough use of the word, but, you know, FCC limiting me, that my own good nature.
Well, we may be talking to Ed before the end of the year.
Then I just hate you, and I hate your ass face.
Dateline Madison, an hour after Wisconsin Supreme Court affirmed Joe Biden the winner of the November 3rd presidential election in the state, Republicans refused to accept the result and met at the state capitol to put forward their own slate of electors. They don't believe their own conservative-controlled Wisconsin Supreme Court, Tom.
Well, they believe it. They just don't like it. They want to win, and they don't like the result because Hagedorn didn't do what he was supposed to. That Hagedorn, those conservatives don't you know? Justice Hagedorn, you're supposed to go along with the cult mentality.
What'd they pay for then? Dominic, while 10 Democratic electors met inside Governor Tony Evers' office to finalize the state's 10 electoral votes for President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, Republicans convened to cast votes for President Donald Trump.
What?
Isn't that convenient? We made it, Evers, a Democrat, said after the 10 votes were officially cast by Democratic electors to be sent to Congress. A quote from the governor: "Today, we did our part to continue the long and sacred tradition of our democracy of honoring the will of the people." But elsewhere in the Capitol, Republicans, including Party Chairman Andrew Hitt and Wisconsin Elections Commissioner Bob Spindell, met even though electors are not supposed to be counted. Hitt, in a statement, said the electors met to preserve our role in the electoral process while the final outcome is still pending in the courts. Now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court already ruled, and the U.S. Supreme Court already rejected. So what the hell are they talking about, man? Hitt, in a statement, said the electors met to, read that part, the Republicans held their meeting to preserve their legal options as they pursue two appeals in the federal court over Wisconsin's results, said Mark Jefferson, executive director of the state Republican Party. Oh, it's a party. Trump and his backers lost those lawsuits this month before district court judges. He noted Republicans in Wisconsin faced an electoral college protest 4 years ago when Trump won the state. Democrats didn't have an alternative slate of electors that year. So really, they didn't do the same thing that you're doing. But you see it as the same because Jefferson said the 2016 protest showed there was strong wills on both sides when it comes to politics. Yeah, that's why you have freaking elections, moron.
Yeah.
Jefferson said Republicans didn't announce their plans this year to avoid another round of protest. We just wanted to quietly go in and do our thing. I didn't think it harms anything to go through the process. I think it's a healthy exercise in freaking sedition. I mean, now you're moving into seditious territory. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled. The electors have been cast. And now you're still challenging the outcome, the peaceful transition of power in the United States, Tom. Wisconsin Republicans.
Well, where would they get such an idea, Crudy? The Hill reports Brett Samuels President Trump's allies are preparing to send an alternate slate of electors to Congress. Senior White House advisor Stephen Miller said Monday, signaling Trump will drag out his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election, even after the Electoral College certifies Joe Biden as the winner.
We're going with the white nationalist bald Nazi guy. That's who's spearheading this effort.
Miller, appearing on Fox News as a senior advisor to the Trump campaign, brushed off the idea the Electoral College vote marked any kind of end to the process. The only date in the Constitution is January 20th. So we have more than enough time to right the wrong of this fraudulent election result and certify Donald Trump as the winner of the election. As we speak today, an alternate slate of electors in the contested states is going to vote, and we're going to send those results up to Congress. This will ensure that all of our legal remedies remain open. That means that if we win these cases in the courts, that we can direct the alternate slate of electors to be certified. Miller indicated that Trump supporters will act as alternates in the handful of contested states, including Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, to submit their own unofficial results should the Trump campaign succeed in overturning the outcome in any of those states, Miller said. The alternate electors could then be recognized by Congress. Nothing in the Constitution or state electoral processes allows for such an alternate slate of electors. Miller also raised the idea of state legislatures stepping in to overturn the results or of Congress interceding. Of course he did.
844-967-2789, opening up the phone lines for you. Mark from the SAC, welcome back. You're first today, my friend. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mark.
Oh, God, where to begin? Stephen Miller, whose family is survivors of the Holocaust, is well ready to become a Holocaust denier, it looks like.
Denier, he's rooting for the next one. Are you kidding me?
It just that if I wasn't, and I give in to my more sanguine impulses on occasion, which is part of me that says that maybe Tony Evers should just declare martial law and declare some of these Republicans as traitors to the state, declare military tribunals, and institute, what Donald Trump is fond of now is the death penalty, and that it is just getting beyond the point where it's just these guys just hate democracy. I mean, I'm just speechless as what's going on now.
Come on, Mark. They don't hate democracy. They only dislike democracy when their conservative friends don't win. Then it's bad. Other than that, when they win, they love it.
They're winning the war on Christmas trees, Don. Tony Evers, the Evers DOA, his administration, is allowing the artificial tree to stand at the Wisconsin State Capitol.
Excellent. Well, then perhaps we should put our own up.
Well, I've had some thoughts, Dom. I've acquired a tree, Dom.
Oh, yeah.
Come back with us. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The phone lines remain open for you. 844-967-2789.
This is not normal.
I find it sexy.
Holy mackerel, folks.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MaxSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MaxSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MaxSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ben Thomas. The biggest vaccination campaign in American history has begun, with healthcare workers getting COVID-19 shots around the nation. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani.
How are you feeling today? I'm feeling great.
Seconds later, New York critical care nurse Sandra Lindsay became one of the first to get the shot. With Governor Andrew Cuomo watching via video conference, Lindsay said she's relieved.
This is the weapon that will end the war.
In Louisville,
it starts today.
Dr. Jason Smith rolled up his sleeve and urged others to follow when the vaccine's more widely available. But there are fears many Americans don't want the shot or aren't sure. Health and Human Services Chief Alex Azar says the government will work to assure the nation that the shots are both safe and effective.
Getting vaccinated will help keep you, your family, and your country healthy and safe.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
With doses limited, senior U.S. officials will be among those receiving them this week. It's part of continuity of government plans that now include terrorism and pandemics as threats to the nation and its leaders. The effort comes after President Trump said White House aides should receive the vaccine somewhat later. The Electoral College has been meeting at locations across the country. Stacey Abrams presided over Georgia's electors.
I am pleased to announce that Joseph R. Biden has received 16 votes for President of the United States.
That sound from Georgia Public Broadcasting. Wisconsin also cast its votes for Joe Biden after the state Supreme Court rejected a lawsuit from President Trump seeking to overturn the results. An independent monitor will help root out corruption in the United Auto Workers Union under a reform agreement aimed at avoiding a federal takeover. U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan, Matthew Schneider, says the UAW was set up to protect and serve its members.
Some of the leaders of the union lost sight of that mission, and they became corrupt.
This is AP News.
Hi, I'm Ken Murray, founder of Retirement Planners of America. Do you have a 401k or IRA that took a beating and needs help? Do you want to protect what you have and grow from here? We want to offer you a free virtual retirement consultation. We can help you build a plan to get through this current crisis and then create a plan for what's next. There's absolutely no charge or obligation.
Call for your free consultation now. 800-375-1159. It's 800-375-1159.
When it comes to the radio, we all have our reason to fight over the dial.
Sports talk, entertainment news. Sports talk, entertainment news.
But with some things in life, we can all win. Like at TD Ameritrade, where we offer 2 different mobile apps. TD Ameritrade Mobile is great for the investor who wants a simple way to track the market, while Thinkorswim Mobile offers a more in-depth trading experience. Visit tdameritrade.com/apps to find the one that's right for you. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
If you believe we the people need an ongoing voice on the radio airwaves, there's never been a more important time to partner with us and support Devil Radio. Small businesses are suffering and our sponsors are already doing what they can. We need your help. This is your station. These are your airwaves, but they're not free. Please give if you're able at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, or click the Support the Station tab at devilradio927.com. Give now and I pledge you will never hear Christmas music on Devil Radio.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada El-Makashfi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows premieres January 2nd only on Devil Radio 92.7.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Monday, December 14th. The Republican-led Joint Finance Committee is holding up reimbursements to 2 counties for their recount costs. President Donald Trump's campaign paid $3 million for recounts in Dane and Milwaukee counties, but 2 top Republicans said Friday they were withholding the money from the counties for now. They did not explain a reason for the hold. 4 healthcare systems and the Milwaukee County Behavioral Health Division have reached an unprecedented agreement in which the health systems will pay half the cost of building and operating a new psychiatric emergency department just north of downtown Milwaukee. Forecast of a windy day for the area today, slight chance of precipitation late this morning. High today of 22 degrees, low of 10 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Holy Mackerel Monday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. And Dominic, troubling news out of the great state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled 4-3. That's too damn close. 4-3, not to overturn the will of Wisconsin voters. So the
holy mackerel, folks.
Yeah, it was that damn close. Brian Hagdorn, the only difference in democracy, still living and occurring in the state of Wisconsin and not. So anyways, the ruling comes down. The electors go to the Capitol, go to the governor's office. I believe Tony Evers, one of the Joe Biden electors, as is Mandela, as is Ben Wickler, as is our very soon guest, Khary Penebaker, a DNC member and a friend of ours, joining us at 3:30. But they cast their votes in unison for Joe Biden. 10 for Biden, right?
Yes.
And then the Republicans said, not so fast. We've got our own damn electors. We're going to send out a whole different, I don't even know what to describe this newest conspiracy theory that they think somehow going to overturn the will of the voters. And I was going to ask Ed Fallone, our fine guest in hour 1, all you need is one freaking senator. And Ron Johnson, I'm looking at you, sir.
Oh, he is that senator.
To seek a congressional remedy, right? You got lots of crackpot Republican Congress people, like 126 of them. And you got at least one crackpot U.S. senator from the great state of Wisconsin willing to go along. So I knew there would be an effort in the Congress to overturn the election after the fact. It's on the scoreboard for going on 6 weeks, but we're still contesting the fate of the election. Not because there's any evidence of anything, but because, we don't like the outcome. So then, we find out the Republicans in the great state of Wisconsin put up their own separate electors. Yeah, they're acting like
that doesn't mean any, but let's just be clear about this. That doesn't mean a damn thing. It means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They may as well hold another election and say, well, these people, their vote counts more than yours, and we decided it's Donald Trump. It has absolutely no bearing on anything.
Other than the fact it's so very clear, you got 3 Wisconsin Supreme Court justices that don't give a damn about democracy. You got the whole Republican Party of the state of Wisconsin, including the GOP chairman, Andrew Hitt, electing their own alternative slate of electors. Just reality. Screw the Supreme Court. We don't care what the courts say. We don't care what the U.S. Supreme Court says. It doesn't sit right with us. So we're going to keep fighting this battle. And, over the course of the weekend, a long-form article, an interview, and we are getting to the phones, Jeannie. We see you. Be patient for just a moment. You'll be next at 967-2789. But this article, Dom, I saw over the course of the weekend, it was the Fond du Lac County Republican chairman. And he pushed back and just said, enough trying to challenge the election. And from his article, and he was being asked questions, and they were, writing it out like they were transcribing an interview. Well, here was the question. Do you find the trend of conspiratorial thinking being normalized by conservative social media influencers, such as Vicky McKenna and David Clark, alarming? Do you find that alarming? And his response, yes. I don't know why it's happening. It's like QAnon thing. I had never heard of the damn thing until August. And this is the Fond du Lac County GOP chairman saying this. I'd never heard of the damn thing until August. I had a couple of friends who were over at my house in Waupun for a parade, and they were telling me what QAnon is. My friend starts laughing and says, the look on your face is terrifying. I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh and learned a lot from him. When I was a kid, Rush Limbaugh was entertaining. He had parodies and little skits and spoofs. He would make fun of the Democrats while disagreeing with them. The show was funny. If you listen over the last 7 years, 8 years, it's just the Democrats are evil. They're the enemy. And if they win, we're a socialist country by March 15th. When every election is the most important election of your lifetime, otherwise the country's over. That's how people get so worked up and believe so much stuff. And I would point out, Dom, the other day at the Wisconsin State Capitol, I was up there on Friday. They had this so-called public hearing by invitation only. Because they were
so less of a
seeking
public hearing and more of an invitation only to speak hearing.
It would be sort of like a trial where only the prosecution gets to go. Let me tell you why you're guilty, but you don't actually get a defense. Well, that's what the Republicans held on Friday, this voting irregularities joint committee hearing between the Senate Republicans and the Assembly Republicans. And I guess they let the Democrats zoom in for a while to the charade. But ultimately, the lead witness was righty-whitey talk radio host Dan O'Donnell. The right-wing media is setting the agenda for the Republicans. And even if they want to quit this alternative reality, it's too late now. Mark Belling, Vicky McKenna, Dan O'Donnell, David A. Clark Jr., who's an often fill-in, hell, even Scott Walker fills in, right? And they're telling you, don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe the Electoral College, don't believe the Supreme Court, just believe us. And by extension, Donald Trump. I mean, this is dangerous. And over the course of the weekend, I got in sort of a heated discussion about talk radio. And someone said to me, you guys are just as bad. And I'm thinking, no, I don't think we are. Maybe I'm just being a little skosh defensive, Don, but I don't think we're propagating fantasy on our audience. I don't think we're telling you, hey, Donald Trump lost the election in 2016. He did not. He won in 16. He lost in 2020. Our side faces reality. Our side concedes. Their side never does. I'm still waiting for Scott Walker's concession speech from 2018. Fancy Brian?
Well, I think we have a little bit of a boy who cried wolf problem, because you have people like Rush saying the world is going to end if Democrats get in office, and if Democrats and all the Democrats, the world's going to end, and they're evil and trying to destroy democracy. And then the Republicans actually try to do it, and then we say, hey, they're trying to do it, and we sound just like them because there's boy who cried wolf. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are like, yeah. Democracy.
So their projection upon the liberals, the socialists, that we somehow want to corrupt society and destroy everything, destroy democracy, well, they're going to beat us to it.
Perception is reality, man.
844-967-2789. Jeannie, appreciate your patience. Welcome to the big show.
Hey, Jenny.
Well, I got a lot of patience when I'm listening to you guys. You do a great job. There is no comparison to righty-whitey radio. I've listened to it for years and fought back. Nothing. They spread lies all the time. You guys give the facts, and if you're wrong, you correct it. There's no comparison.
But Jeannie, occasionally, there's some coarse name calling, especially Dominic.
That can happen occasionally, Jeannie, but I appreciate that. I think you're right. I'm not getting a list, Jeannie, of what to go out and rail against from George Soros.
I send you an email every morning.
I'm still waiting for my check, Jeannie. And I go out here and want to have a conversation and talk about the reality and the facts as we know them. And if facts come to light, certainly, when facts come to light, we want to share them with our audience. But this is to the point now where it's not about democracy for them. This is about pure fascism for them. They lost. They know it, and they're losing, more than just this election. That hard right-wing religious zealotness in this country, I think, is going away. The kids coming up nowadays, Jeannie, they don't think like that to the degree that the older generation does, in my opinion. So I think they realize not only are they losing the election, they're also losing their way in this world. They're losing their majority hold. They're losing their privilege, and a lot of people, they're going through the grieving process of loss. And while I can appreciate, the typical Republican voter, they are being manipulated by the right-wing talkers and the right-wing media organizations, and they're being manipulated by believing everything they see on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. I mean, I got friends of mine sending me links to things I've never heard of. Say, hey, what do you think about this with regards to COVID? I'm like, I don't know, what are you talking about? What is this site and who is this person, Jeannie? But they equate, many of them equate an author to an article on a website to equal to a New York Times investigative piece, Jane, and it's really doing a disservice for a big chunk of this country, and they're profiting off of it.
And it's sad. And, true is, I really do believe they're fascists. I'm sorry to say it. I hate to use that word even. But really, they've demonstrated by their behavior, they're a threat to democracy, they're a threat to our economy, and they're a threat to our health, period. And they haven't did a goddamn thing, calling COVID a hoax. I mean, they have caused and made this worse by their behaviors that they are goddamn dangerous. And they should all be kicked out of office. And those judges, they have no business sitting on the highest court in our state. They should be having their license revoked for the crap that they're pulling on the people in the United States, especially Bradley, the crap she's writing, to make it law because of her opinions different from the others, but she's getting it in the law books. So, yeah, we just got to keep talking and talking and talking until people wake up to say, we don't want this in our state or in our country. But you guys do a darn great job. Oh, I got to say one more thing. The guy that was willing to give up his vote, I watched that hearing too live.
Troopus.
Yeah, the attorney.
I'm sitting there saying, you dumb, how stupid do you think you are? You're investing your vote in Trump's winning our state. You're going to give up your vote and say, oh, mine don't count.
Jeannie, got to cut you short. It's not that you don't count. It's that we got to go to break. Coming back, more devils.
Just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light.
I got a pretty good dang old idea what's going on. I'll tell you what, man, you're all gonna die!
Now, you gonna believe me or you're lying?
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch Maxink Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. Live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MaxInkRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's Maxink Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada Elmakashvi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows airs Saturdays 10 a.m. only on Devil Radio 92.7.
Madison, you say what? Each weeknight from 5 to 6, don't miss out on a single day of the Earl Ingram Show right here on Devil Radio 92.7 FM, 1580 AM.
Here's how you get them. If they bring a beer, you bring an old-fashioned. If they bring cheese curds, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way. That's Devil Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us right now. 844-967-2789. Khary Penebaker, DNC member, going to join us at the bottom of the hour.
Dominic, talking about the righty-whitey media for just a minute longer. On Newsmax, a headline, I find it the Raw story, one of my favorite sources. Newsmax White House correspondent agrees that it's time to get the Second Amendment supplies ready for the 2020 election fight. Well, she's just retweeting Trump's legal counsel, Dom.
Oh, great.
In a tweet this Sunday, Pennsylvania attorney and Trump loyalist Lynn Wood sent out a cryptic message saying, "It's better to be safe than sorry. Make sure you have plenty," all caps, "of water, food, flashlights and batteries, candles, radio so you can listen to Devil's Advocates, Second Amendment supplies, and a plan to meet with leaders in your community," he wrote. "Remember, we only have one president at a time. Our leader is real Donald Trump, not Joe Biden."
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
So that's what Trump's attorney, and let's not forget, you know who else this man was representing until a different legal team was found? Kyle Rittenhouse.
The Kenosha shooter.
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse. Lynn Wood, the attorney who at first was on Rittenhouse's legal team and then saw a bigger grift to be had representing the Trump team. Lynn, along with attorney Sidney Powell, has filed a string of failed lawsuits alleging mass voter fraud in the 2020 election, highlighting Wood's tweet, Newsmax White House correspondent. So this isn't like some intern, some coffee person. This is their White House correspondent over at Newsmax, the one tasked with covering the White House on a daily basis.
Yeah, but till like a month ago, it was the coffee person.
Emerald Robinson, her name, Emerald. She doesn't look like a green precious gem, Dom, but Miss Robinson has a cross as part of her Twitter emoji. You know, that's how you know the best journalists, when they show you the cross right there in their name. But anyways.
And retweet calls for violence because they lost the election.
Well, here's what the Trump attorney said one more time via Twitter. "Better to be safe than sorry. Make sure you have plenty of water, food, flashlights, and batteries, candles, radio, Second Amendment supplies, and a plan to meet with leaders of your community. Remember, we only have one president at a time. Our leader is real Donald Trump, not Biden." And then Emerald Robinson, crucifix, retweeted, and said, "Folks, when Lynn Wood tells people to prep, I listen." The White House correspondent / prepper, end times prepper, right? I mean, because you're really talking about civil war, secession, violence against the government. I mean, really, there's only so many targets when you talk about the outcome of the election that you just will not accept.
Mark Elias, the Democratic election attorney, posted that the Trump administration / campaign 1 in 59. 1 in 59, right? 1 in 59. And this is in front of conservative judges and liberal judges and progressive judges and Republican judges. Call it what you 1 in 59.
Dom, the U.S. Supreme Court has 3 Trump appointees on it and is 6-3 conservative, and they rejected the Trump lawsuit unanimously, correct? Although Alito and Thomas, they were, willing to give it a try.
That is correct. The Texas lawsuit, to which you refer, they don't have standing. Texas can't, they're local lawmakers, and they can't, as a state, tell Wisconsin as a state how to enforce their election laws. So where's the local power, right? Where is local control? Aren't conservatives at one point in their lives, that's what they were about? Like at one point in their lives, they were about, fiscal conservatism. I'm sure when Biden gets in, they'll get back on that horse. But everything that they claim to be for is cast aside in pursuit of a fascist overturning of this election. There is nothing sacred to them. And I guess if there's anything good that comes out of this exercise, is that we know this about the conservatives and the Republicans. There's nothing sacred. It's not about, judicial restraint. They don't want judicial restraint. They got it. 1 in 59. What they want is someone to overturn the will of the elector, of the citizens of this country. They want another state to enforce Wisconsin's laws. And our laws have been interpreted by our Wisconsin Election Commission, and we will use the same exact process that we did when Donald Trump won. And they also just want to throw out, the 2 counties and leave the same process, the illegal, fraudulent process that got all Tom Tiffany and the other Republicans in the state of Wisconsin elected. That's fine. They want to leave that. I mean, everywhere you turn and every step they take is full of crap. And how could this possibly be? Well, because they're trying to justify the ends, right? They're trying to fascistically overturn the will of the people.
Dominic, quick headline as we go to break and bring back a fine guest, Khary Penebaker, friend of ours, DNC Elector for Joe Biden. During a radio interview this Monday morning, Michigan Republican Rep. Gary Eisen said that Democratic electors convene at the state capitol in Michigan to cast their votes for President-elect Joe Biden. He couldn't necessarily guarantee their safety. Can you assure me that this is going to be a safe day in Lansing? Nobody's going to get hurt? No, Eisen replied. I don't know, because what we're doing today is uncharted. It hasn't been done. What, voting for the Electoral College? I'm on a football team. We have one more play. I'm just going to give it up. Or am I going to do that Hail Mary? Will it change the outcome of the election? Probably not. At least we have one play left. We'll throw that ball. We're warned right now that there could be outbreaks of violence in Lansing. The Republican electors in Lansing were turned by the Capitol Police there. Here the Republicans voted under a veil of secrecy. Did it in Wisconsin. We have an alternative slate. Come back, a real elector, Khary Penebaker.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
I'm your host, Pat Pobletti, and this podcast is brought to you by Spectrum. Healthcare workers in Wisconsin will start receiving the COVID-19 vaccine this afternoon as hospitals begin receiving shipments. I'm here with healthcare reporter Stephanie Hoff to talk about this. Stephanie, let's start here in Madison. Talk me through how hospitals and healthcare facilities are going to begin doing this.
So, Pat, after the FDA approved the Pfizer vaccine, it was sent to hubs around the nation. UW Health is one of those hubs for Wisconsin's hub and spoke model. So these hubs across Wisconsin have that ultra cold storage that's required for this vaccine, and then they distribute it from there. UW Health said its first employees are going to start receiving the shots today. Late last week, they began training staff to administer the shot. And remember, frontline healthcare workers are the first group that will receive the COVID shot. For some, it may feel like the nation is taking a sigh of relief now that this vaccine is out. But keep in mind, if we're looking at the widely available flu shot, only 42% of Wisconsinites get that. So not everyone can get vaccinated, but also not everyone will want to get vaccinated due to uncertainty about the safety of the shot or other reasons. Pat, you have today a doctor's perspective on the safety of the vaccine.
Yeah, Stephanie, and this came from Mayo Clinic family medicine physician Dr. Erin Morcom. Now she's out in La Crosse, and she was speaking with host Adrienne Pedersen, and really her interview was interesting to me, and I learned a lot about the hub and spoke model and just general distribution. So I would definitely recommend for those who are interested in about learning more about this to go and see that interview. But I think probably the more pertinent thing as to what you asked about is what she would tell people who are skeptical about this new vaccine. Because as you said, there are vaccines for the flu, for instance, that just aren't really super widely utilized. And essentially what she said was that there have been extensive safety measures, and I'm quoting there, that have been done. Now, here's a little bit from her on this.
All public health officials, anyone working in the healthcare realm has high confidence that these vaccines are something we really need to have to help to lessen the burden of the pandemic. Everything that's been put out shows that these vaccines are, for the most part, very safe and something that we would highly encourage everyone have.
The Department of Health Services is giving a COVID-19 vaccine update today. I'll be on that call, and coverage of that briefing will be in the wispolitics.com and wisbusiness.com healthcare report. Employers wondering about a mandated vaccine program. Check out the latest WIS Business podcast with Dan Kaplan. He's the co-chair of Foley and Lardner's.
Oh yeah. I can hear you. You sound great,
Until tomorrow, I'm Stephanie Hoff. Thanks for tuning in.
And I like the background too.
Midday. For more
and I like the
state
lounging.
government
That's
and
even
political
cooler.
News, visit wispolitics.com.
I like it all. We're coming back very shortly here. Let me bring it down real quick.
What? You mean it's not Christmas yet? Well, it soon will be. This year, Santa is available for virtual visits. Stay right in your home, and this real Santa will video chat with you and your children virtually. Yes, real beard, real suit, real belly, the real Santa. Go to my website, wishforsanta.com. That's wish4santa.com. Virtual visits start at $26. Have a very Merry Christmas.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze.
Cut through the bullshit. Get the information the deep state doesn't want you to know. Only on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, we welcome back a fine guest. He is Khary Penebaker. He is a member of the DNC, and most importantly, at least for today's interview, he is a Joe Biden elector from the great state of Wisconsin. Khary, welcome back, man. How you been?
I've been living the dream. I missed you guys. I haven't been on here in a while.
Well, we appreciate it, man.
You did something important today, so we invited you back.
Yeah, we did something today.
Khary, a historic day. Really, the casting of the electoral votes don't usually bring as much attention as it has in this electoral cycle. We're nearly 6 weeks from the election, and Biden, obviously the winner, you know that. You voted for him today. But Donald Trump has failed to concede, and the entirety of the Republican Party, Khary, I think they're losing their freaking mind. While you were casting your vote for Joe Biden, apparently Republicans meeting in secret at the Wisconsin State Capitol. Do you realize there's an alternative slate of electors that have been chosen on behalf of the Republicans, Khary?
These are the same people that exist in an alternative reality. The same people who believe in alternative facts. So they can do what they want, man. They can create the secret panel, the secret slate of people that they want to choose. That's on them. It's not going to work. America voted. Wisconsin voted, and we picked Joe Biden. These are the same people who thought the coronavirus was a joke, was a hoax. These are the same people who enabled Donald Trump. Do you think all of a sudden they're going to become decent human beings and do the right thing? Of course not. These are the same people who trafficked in racist birtherism. I don't have any faith at all that these folks are going to do the right thing, but I'm glad there are more folks like us that are doing the right thing. There are more judges who are doing the right thing. I'm glad America's institutions stood up for the last 6 weeks, including today, including an hour before we voted, where you had a state Supreme Court vote against Donald Trump. And unfortunately, there were 3 state Supreme Court justices who thought throwing out hundreds of thousands of votes was a cool thing to do. You know what? They're not going to get rid of my vote. They're not going to get rid of my voice. Donald Trump is not going to be president anymore after January.
Khary, let's talk about the actual process that happened today. You went up to Governor Evers' office. Did he serve snacks? Were there beverages?
No, man, they no snacks, but we got a cool governor's pen, and they gave us all of the 2 ballots and the rest of the instructions were inside this really cool leather binder thing that's got the governor's seal on it. So we got to keep that, and I think because of the pandemic, it took away from the pomp and circumstance of it. So you can't hug anybody. You can't, I can't high five Mandela, my personal friend. We can't do all those things that might have been normal a year ago. But it was all business once we got in it. We did the work of the people. We signed, I think each one of us signed about 25 times, something like that. But it was a cool experience. It's something that, very few people ever get a chance to do. It only happens once a year. There's only 306 people that get to do it this year. It's quite an experience. It's very, very humbling. And to be a Black man with 2 daughters of color, to be able to cast an electoral ballot for Kamala Harris as our next vice president, there's nothing like that. Like if you look at the tweet that I wrote, where I wrote hearts on the ballot, it was because I knew this is a monumental movement or moment here for me as a man of color. I got to do something. So I put a heart on it because I love this moment. I love the fact that a Black woman is going to be our next vice president. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I know how Republicans are with counting ballots and having to fill in the bubble, and I put the X in there. But yeah, there's nothing that they can do that's going to steal this vote from us. We earned this.
Khary, any thought about being a faithless elector? All the recent propaganda on righty-whitey talk radio and all the sham and show hearings they had at the Wisconsin State Capitol, talking about all the voter irregularities that they've got no evidence to offer other than Dan O'Donnell's take on it. But Khary, did you think anyone in the room might go faithless and might vote for Donald Trump?
There was no way in hell that was going to happen. The folks in that room knew what they were there to do. We had all committed to voting for Joe and Kamala prior to coming into that room. And if you look at some of the logic, the mental gymnastics these folks are going through to try to legitimize why I, as a elector, would vote against Joe Biden as the elector. Think if you could read some of these emails, it's really sad. It's comedic on the front end, but then when you think about it, you have been so lied to that you didn't just drink the Kool-Aid, you snorted it. And you've gone so far off the reservation here that you can't even think straight. These people think they've become experts in constitutional law where they don't understand the difference between, a person at the state level versus a federal elected official. They don't understand how this stuff works, but they think they do. And they've got nothing but rage that's fueling this animus towards people like me. And they think they're going to convince me, somebody who's not only a proud Democrat, and I'm a damn proud Democrat from Waukesha, right? But I voted for Joe Biden in the general election. Now, are you honestly thinking I'm going to go away from doing all the things that I do as a proud Democrat, voting for this man, being a surrogate for this man, then all of a sudden be like, you know what? But Donald, though, No, no, absolutely not. No way.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Khary Penebaker, he joins us. He is a DNC member and a friend of ours. It's great to see you again, my friend.
You too. Man.
It's kind of funny on the front and it's sad on the back, but it's also a little dangerous. Yeah, apparently in Michigan, some people are concerned about safety, and we've seen threats to local election officials across this country.
Mhm.
And I certainly appreciate the efforts that President-elect Joe Biden has made, talking about bringing us together. And I think we really, really, really need that, not just in terms of a calm, soothing voice to encourage that, but also real action to do that. Khary, how important is that going to be, do you think, coming up in the next 6 months as we do a hopefully peaceful transition of power? Do you think that the president-elect is going to be able to engage? And does it really matter, given that he won? Should he spend his political capital in trying to engage with Republicans at this point?
I do think it's important that President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris do everything they can to try to heal this country. And try to find ways to bring us closer together. Now, the issue here is that I think the two of them in the administration are going to be able to come up with processes that allow that to happen. The problem, though, is that you're dealing with a disingenuous partner on the other side. So no matter what Joe and Kamala try to do, I don't think you have an honest broker in Republicans to try to actually make this country whole again. We can disagree on policy. We don't have to demonize the other, though. We don't have to cloak everything we're doing with such venom. We've allowed this to become normal over the last 4 years. And I think what Joe and Kamala are going to try to do is to stop that kind of behavior. The problem, though, as I said, is Republicans aren't going to behave that way. So ultimately, why I think we need to be decent and civil. You're not going to see tweets that are littered with insults coming from the president's Twitter account anymore. Thank God for that. But I do want Democrats to stand strong and help usher in the agenda that Joe and Kamala ran on, that all of us have been fighting for months here, and understanding why you may not have voted for Joe Biden. So there's 70 plus million people that didn't. Their lives still will be made better because of the policies that we all have worked so hard to bring about, and hopefully will get turned into legislation. There are folks right now who desperately need cash payments from the government because they can't go to work due to this pandemic. There are people who are dying, right? You have 280,000 plus Americans that have died from this virus. I want a president who's going to take this virus and the way that you deal with it. I want that person to be serious about it. Joe Biden is that guy. And I think when people see how he behaves in the office and how you're not going to see the antics anymore, the drama or the chaos, I think even those who didn't vote for him are going to finally be like, you know what, maybe I'm not a Democrat, but some of this stuff isn't bad for me. It's actually a pretty good thing.
Well, that would be a Christmas miracle indeed, Khary.
Well, Khary, and I have to disagree. I mean, unfortunately, while we may not get those kinds of tweets from the President Trump, he's still going to have a Twitter account, and they're still going to be coming out. So unfortunately, this mentality and his influence, I think, is going to be with us for a very long time. Talking about the state of Wisconsin, though, and I guess the lack of action from the Republicans. They haven't been in session for many, many months. And apparently their priorities right now, as far as I can tell, are putting up Christmas trees without permits in the Wisconsin State Capitol and meeting in secret to elect their slate of electors should things, somehow miraculously turn around for them. But in the meantime, as you mentioned, I mean, not just on a federal level, but certainly here in the state of Wisconsin, people are suffering. I mean, people are dying every single day, and we need something to be done. The government is not working for us, certainly not the Republicans in the Assembly and in the state Senate. Any comment on the lack of action from Robin Vos and from now Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, Khary Penebaker?
It's a shame. It really is a shame. But real quick, before I get into that, I want to go back to the comment about the tweeting. So because Donald Trump is no longer going to be president and will be a citizen, Twitter did say that his account would be subject to being suspended if he continues to engage in violations of their terms of service, which was not applied to him as he was president. So there are some things there, but I do think, sort of to your point, that I think people believe more in him than the institution of being president. But that's also analogous to the fact that Donald Trump didn't actually want to do the job of being president. He wanted to just have the title and the power, didn't want to do the job. But in terms of Voss and Scott, they also don't care about the voices and the votes of the people here in Wisconsin. They just care about power, because if they do, they wouldn't engage in this kind of behavior. They know better, and they still allow it to happen. Unfortunately, we just had the election, and we didn't get enough new Democrats elected. We got two or three seats, I believe, we picked up in the assembly. But we need to do a better job, right? We need to do a better job of getting more Democrats elected, but we also need to be able to defeat gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is set up so that no matter how hard we work, they already have the win in the bag, because the map was made so that Republican wasn't going to lose. And I hope we are able to get to a place where our elected officials are no longer picking their voters the way they are right now. And it's really, really a sad state of things to see how inactive those Republicans are. They would go to the mat for Donald Trump and to steal this election, but they're not going to the mat for the people here in Wisconsin that are suffering due to this pandemic. And that shows you what they actually care about. And I want even Republicans to know how their elected officials care so little about their health and well-being.
Khary, I certainly appreciate taking a diplomatic approach and unifying under Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But Democrats better learn to fight, my friend.
Absolutely.
Or we're going to continue to get our asses handed to us even after we win the elections. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried about the sad and broken precedent that especially these Wisconsin Republicans are setting. Khary, what about, having a little backbone? We're in a budgetary cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Evers really needs to stand up for Wisconsinites right now, because Republicans certainly will not. We got like 1 minute left here, Khary.
I completely agree. And I think at the federal level, if we're able to win the 2 seats down in Georgia and get control of all 3 chambers, I think we will have a much better chance of having the kind of agenda that Joe and Kamala ran on. Here in Wisconsin, we won't have control of the House or the Assembly and the Senate. So it makes it a little bit more difficult, but Tony has been a fighter. He's just limited in what kind of control he can do. We were able to beat back their attempt to win more seats so they can override his veto. Thank God for that. But we're going to keep fighting, and we're never going to let people forget who we are and the amount of power that we hold as voters here in Wisconsin.
Khary Penebaker, our good friend, DNC member, and most importantly, a Wisconsin elector. He cast his ballot for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Khary, don't be a stranger, man.
Hey, I love you guys, and I love the stuff that you're doing, and I'm so glad that you are such a strong voice for people here.
Thank you, Khary. More double.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and feed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
Pat Slattery here of Slattery's Automotive Service. Winter's coming, and that means now's the time for you to start thinking about snow tires. Travel winter roads with ease on Hakkapeliitta snow tires. Hakkapeliitta is the top-of-the-line snow tire, made in Finland and eco-friendly. If it's snowing, they'll get you there. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to get yours set. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive talk radio from Fitchburg to DeForest, always streaming at DARNWI.com.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open for you at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one, a friend of ours. He is DNC member and Wisconsin elector for Joe Biden, Khary Penebaker. Khary, don't be a stranger, man. Hope we don't have to go like 4 years to have him back.
I know. It seems like it's been way too long. It's been crazy. A stellar human being. We love Khary Penebaker. Appreciate him coming around.
Dominic, another friend of ours, State Senator-elect Melissa Agard, Sergeant Agard. Melissa Sargent has a statement to make. The headline here, Senator-elect Agard, statement on Wisconsin unanimously casting its electoral votes for President-elect Joe Biden and VP-elect Kamala Harris. Her statement: I'm proud that the state of Wisconsin has cast its electoral votes for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. These 10 electoral college votes represent the votes of millions of Wisconsinites who cast their ballot for a return to kindness and normalcy. Under the leadership of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, the United States will prioritize the issues that matter to everyday lives of Americans, like access to health care, addressing racial disparities, and helping workers recover from the devastation brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. I am proud of Wisconsin for helping elect our next president and vice president. Furthermore, it should not go unnoticed that Wisconsin just cast its votes for the first female vice president of the United States in our country's 243-year history. Senator-elect Agard, Melissa Agard, our good friend. Thank you, Melissa, for that fine statement.
844-967-2789. Join us, Dick from Madison. You're up. Happy Monday, Dick. What do you got for us?
Well, I just seen this doctor that's on TV quite often from University of Washington, and he's absolutely saying, avoid travel. Just do not do it during the Christmas holiday. And even if you're a student and you're coming home, quarantine as much as you can, wear a mask when you come home. And you remember last week, was that about Tuesday or Wednesday when you were reading the stats out and we were at about 43 to 44% infection rate?
It wasn't long ago, Dick.
I think it was last week. We were over 40%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you guys a question. This is kind of an analogy here, I guess. And I know let's just say that your walk to the mailbox every day, if it's through your yard or down the sidewalk to the mailbox or down your driveway, is a minefield. It's like 43% to 44% full of mines.
Yeah.
Are you still going to go to the mailbox to get your mail? And unless, of course, you're getting your check from the Fuhrer. Really, how stupid are people?
Well, I'm first and foremost, Dick, going to send Luke to the mailbox under that theoretical circumstance. And above and beyond that, buddy, is that your whiny belt in the background? Somebody needs to call Slattery's Automotive in Verona.
No.
Pat Slattery will take good care of them.
One other thing, have you heard the latest from the Pillow Man?
Oh, Mike
Lindell?
Lindell?
The whole thing is, yeah.
Do tell.
Basically, I'm sure he's not smart enough to have done it himself, but somebody did the math for him, and he's just along for this ride because if he gets even half of the mega people to buy his pillows, he's just going to close up shop, and he's set for the rest of his days. And that'll be
pillows?
Those aren't pillows, Dick.
Yeah. bunch of ground up, regurgitated old foam rubber and sell it for $50.
What a deal.
Hey,
Only in
he's-
America,
oh,
Dick.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for the call, Dick. Appreciate it. I don't know if you know, but I did see him on some of the cable news, and
Mike
then there was
Lindell?
a commercial. Lindell, yeah, the pillow guy. He's got way more offerings than just pillows. I mean, he's got blankets and throws and dog toys and pet toys. Man, he is really expanding. I mean, what the hell? He may as well open up shop. If he's got buyers from the Trump cult, he'll sell them something.
He's not selling electoral college votes, is he, Tom?
Not that I'm aware of.
844-967-2789. Dominic, here's the question. Now that you would like to think reality is set in.
I do not. No, okay. I already dismiss your premise, but please continue.
I just said you would like to think. There was a precursor. There was an asterisk. But is it over, buddy? At what point does the press, the overwhelming press, I mean, over the course of the weekend, perhaps we'll talk about this in the 4:00 happy hour. What, they had some rallies out in D.C., some Trump supportive. And they were chanting, what? Burn down the GOP? Trash the GOP? Something of the sort. You know, that was the sentiment, right?
Yes, that was the sentiment from some of the super conservatives. Apparently, the GOP, destroy the GOP was some of the things talked about at this rally in DC. Lindell, we heard him, of course, I believe he said it. Fox News, they're the enemy of the people now. And like a bunch of people got stabbed.
Where was Ben Carson?
Stabby McStabberson?
He did stab a guy. 844-967-2789. Our fair audience would never stab a guy.
I stabbed a man in the heart.
I saw that. You
Let's
want
go,
to lay
Paul.
low for a while. Hey, Paul.
How you been, buddy?
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, has the Republican Party evolved to the Proud Boys in Q? I mean, that's getting pretty downright scary, and we just missed.
Don't forget about the
democracy.
evangelical Christians, Paul. They still got faith, air quotes.
I don't even know. How do they even mesh together, for goodness sakes? I don't get this. It's downright spooky. And then you throw in McKenna and O'Donnell. I don't know where we're headed here, but good luck, Joe Biden. What do you think about the Proud Boys this weekend? And thanks for taking my call.
Well,
Hey,
they
thanks,
only
Paul.
stabbed like 4 people and tore down a Black Lives Matter banner at the Ashbury Historical Black Church in
burned
DC.
it and burned it.
Well, with
Yeah.
accelerant,
Yeah,
which makes
yeah.
it arson, does it not?
And ironically, I haven't seen, and I believe it was the Washington Post reporting, Trump, who often portrays liberal protesters as thugs, is silent on violence among his supporters.
Very good people on both sides, Trump.
The best on his, as far as he is concerned.
Folks, come back with us. The happy hour is upon us, and your phone calls are welcome next at 844-967-2789. And perhaps also mischief later in the week, Tom. Like tomorrow. I got a tree over the weekend. Did I mention that?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to get into some mischief. I mean, we're just looking for what? Equal rights, man. That's all.
Equal protection.
Yes.
Under the broken law of the Wisconsin Emergency Administrative Codes at the Capitol. I did get some legal advice today from a fine attorney.
Excellent.
He'll perhaps join us on the show tomorrow. If he's not bailing us out, come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Bail us out. Stick around.
And Republicans done something remarkable.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
People against goodness and normalcy.
Stand back and stand by.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast? Just 2 buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say. Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Our depth of experience means that a lot of your legal questions can be answered in one representation because we have the people and the institutional knowledge to deal with any number of situations.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience, the only choice. Lawton & Cates.
Celebrating 60 years.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at talk927fm.
AP News. I'm Ben Thomas. Dr. Leonardo Swane with Oxnard Health in New Orleans was one of the healthcare workers getting the first shots of coronavirus vaccine this morning.
It's been a privilege to be up here and get vaccinated and to tell all of my Hispanic brothers and sisters it's safe, it's okay, and we need to do it. I mean, this Christmas is going to be a tough Christmas for us.
Dr. Monsef Slaoui is Chief Science Advisor to the government's Operation Warp Speed.
It's very important that we increase the number of Americans that accept to be vaccinated based on facts and data and reality, because vaccines on a shelf are useless, and unless the large majority of us gets vaccinated, we will not be able to control this pandemic.
On Capitol Hill, a bipartisan group of lawmakers is unveiling a new proposal for COVID-19 relief. It includes billions of dollars for businesses, the unemployed, schools, state and local governments, and vaccine distribution. It also includes provisions shielding businesses from virus lawsuits. Presidential electors across the nation have been casting votes to formally choose Joe Biden as the next president. Our Sagar Magani has that.
From Atlanta. We will now cast our ballots for the President of the United States.
To Tallahassee.
Please write the name of your choice for president.
A routine constitutional requirement drawing more attention because President Trump's refused to concede the race.
The ballots for president and vice president have now been counted and verified.
29 votes have been cast for the Honorable Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
Donald J. Trump received 29 electoral votes.
While the president won 232 votes, it takes 270 to capture the White House. Biden scored 306 and will address the nation tonight after all electors have voted. Sagar Magani, Washington.
This is AP News.
Our most vulnerable veterans are isolated at hospitals, and during their greatest time of need, their loved ones can have little or no contact with them. Imagine having to shelter in place forever. Learn how you can help at healvets.org. Help Heal Veterans with the support of citizens like you is making things better together. Learn more at healvets.org. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans, a not-for-profit organization.
When it comes to the radio, we all have our reason to fight over the dial.
Sports talk, entertainment news. Sports talk, entertainment news.
But with some things in life, we can all win. Like at TD Ameritrade, where we offer 2 different mobile apps. TD Ameritrade Mobile is great for the investor who wants a simple way to track the market, while Thinkorswim Mobile offers a more in-depth trading experience. Visit tdameritrade.com/apps to find the one that's right for you. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore our democracy and unify our nation. It's time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Monday, December 14th. Despite losing Wisconsin's presidential contest this year, Republicans won more than 60% of the state's legislative races. The very partisan map that Republicans drew in 2011 has ensured large GOP legislative majorities in every election since then, in good years and in bad, for the party. It has also ensured there are very few competitive districts anywhere in the state. Although the Foxconn Technology Group hasn't received tax credits from the state, it's still possible the company could receive credits for work done outside of Wisconsin, according to a report from the Legislative Audit Bureau. The report made several recommendations to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation to change procedures to comply with state statutes and clear up any confusion. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Sliding into the 4 o'clock. What is it? The Holy Mackerel Monday Happy Hour. Got to think about that for just a moment, Dom. Welcome back to it, everyone. Your phone calls always welcome around here at 844-967-2789. I thought the Electoral College would vote today, and we'd finally have closure on the election we held 6 weeks ago. Oh, but not even close, right, Tom? The Wisconsin Supreme Court barely
got it in time.
Found the will not to overturn a couple million Wisconsin voters, or a couple 100,000, just the ones in Dane and Milwaukee County. But there were 3 conservatives willing to take up that case. And above and beyond there, the Republicans at the Wisconsin State Capitol have decided they're going to create a separate, an alternative reality slate of electors, not for Joe Biden, but for Donald Trump. And under the veil of secrecy, apparently they voted their own separate slate of electors, part of a broader Trump plan to take it all the way to January 6th in the Electoral College and throw it back to state assemblies and state Senate, Stop. Like the Republican-controlled ones here in the state of Wisconsin. Just let them decide. I'm sure they'll do the right thing. Robin Foss and these Republicans, they always do the right thing, Don.
Well, of course, the
better
right thing
candidates
for
and better ideas and all that kind of
yes,
stuff.
no gerrymandering whatsoever. Listen, it's certainly unfortunate. 1 in 59, this administration has, and again, let's remember the one that he won changed the day to cure, I believe, on some absentee ballot discrepancies or issues from 9 days to 6 days. That was the one victory that this effort has gotten them. So they're losing in the courts, and they're losing. My understanding, my sense is they're losing in public opinion, but they want the power. And of course, Donald Trump has all sorts of issues when he gets out. Well, notwithstanding his Twitter feed now perhaps being regulated like my Twitter feed, But there's all sorts of reasons for this president to continue on. What is less clear to me is why. Why in the hell would these Republicans continue to go along? And I guess it's ultimately the fear of Donald Trump. And if he, sicks his Twitter feed upon you, and then what? The cult members will send you nasty messages. I mean, is that what this is? Do they fear for their lives? I mean, I know there's been lots of threats. We know there's real violence going on here over the weekend down in Washington, D.C. The Proud Boys, I mean, this is a white nationalist movement. If you say Proud Boys, that's the nice name. I mean, these are white nationalist people. These are not people who we would generally want to have that kind of influence over any political party. And there they are, and Donald Trump not saying a word about it.
Dominic, a couple of tweets I find out there at this minute. Another slate of electors for Donald Trump is voted upon by state legislature. Nevada joins Pennsylvania and Georgia in sending to Congress a dueling slate of electors. And let's not forget, that's exactly what Republicans did here in the state of Wisconsin, right, Dom?
Yes.
This is the newest plan. They're gonna send off alternative electors, according to the raw story and the original source, Jim Acosta over at CNN. CNN's chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta, on Monday reported on the latest effort by Donald Trump to steal the 2020 presidential election. Can't we ever just be done with this crap? It seems as though President Trump is already looking past these electoral college results, and he's trying to steal the election in a differing way, Jake Tapper noted. I suppose you could say that, Jim Acosta replied. That's right. These efforts to sabotage the election will continue over here at the White House. I talked to a White House advisor just a short time ago who said that the president is already looking past the Electoral College towards January 6th, and that is when the official tallying of the electoral votes occurs in the House of Representatives. Oh, damn, it's a close margin there. The Vice President, Mike Pence, will be presiding over that. What we typically see during that kind of ceremony is a ceremonial event. We are expecting to see, according to the White House advisor, is Republican House members challenging those results. Now, this advisor described, this is a long shot opportunity for the president to have these results thrown out. I would describe it more as a no shot, because even though these Republican House members may make noise on the House floor, they need a senator to sign on to these efforts. And it's unlikely if that is going to happen.
Oh, come on.
Feel it's quite likely that either Ron Johnson or Rand Paul will be just the useful idiot in this case, Tom. It does happen. The Democrats control the House and not likely to go along with any of this. So it's doomed to go nowhere. But
that won't stop them from trying now, will it, Michael?
And the longer this fantasy goes on, this dual reality, Dom, the harder it's going to be to walk these Trumpsters back from their violent cliff. I mean, we already saw a pro-Trump rally end in 4 stabbings and arson over the course of the weekend. Just another weekend in D.C. that the president doesn't acknowledge, because they were his supporters.
Good people on both sides. 844-967-2789.
Can't we just talk policy? Can't we talk about, tax rates for
I'd love to. But no, now it's about what? Who's the guy from Texas talking about secession?
All of them?
West, is that his name?
Alan West, former
yes.
congressman from Florida turned Texan turned state GOP chair.
Yeah.
All the lawful states have to consider secession. And
Jack,
we're moving into sedition territory here. After you put forth your own alternative slate of electors.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, you're undermining the lawfully executed election in the United States of America. We've moved beyond the court
but you
challenges.
say it's lawfully, but
the U.S. Supreme Court said it was lawful.
Yeah, but they ruled on standing. They didn't really get to the merits of the issue. So don't mind if we're a bunch of traitorous bastards because we don't like the fact that we lost. Just think about our thoughts on this. Put yourself in our shoes. Once we support a fascist and he lost, and now we're going to use fascist means to try to keep him installed. A democracy.
844-967-2789. I hope I'm not the only one bothered by all this. I hope it's not just me. Like, I'm not over conflating this whole effort to steal democracy. Like, oh, I think it's a bad idea.
Oh,
but
come on,
everybody
man.
else thinks it's such a great idea.
You know, and I know, and Jim Acosta may not know. Ron Johnson, he is ready to go. He is primed. He will do it. I have every confidence that Ron Johnson will be that voice in the U.S. Senate to try to overturn this election.
Challenge the Electoral College tabulation.
Absolutely. Take it to the bank.
The senatorial co-conspirator only takes one, and Rojo's just the guy to do it too. 844-967-2789. Back to Jack and Merrimack. Jack, welcome back. What do you got?
Hey, Jack.
Yeah, well, here's my suggestion for stopping this kind of election mischief that we've seen happening in the courts during the last month. Now, understand, I used to be married to a lawyer, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. But I think this should be made into law at the national level to keep disenfranchisement from happening and allow everybody access to the ballot box. First, I think all ballots cast by registered voters who are citizens of the United States and is accepted and certified by the individual states must be counted. Second, in cases of suspected...
That sounds very, very troublesome and random, sir. You know, you might come up with an outcome, Jack, that the Republican Party does not like. But I tease. Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Secondly, anyway, in cases of suspected voter fraud, each individual suspected ballot must be examined. And if fraud is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then that ballot should be removed, but only that individual ballot. If the identity of the fraudulent voter can be determined, that voter should be subject to full legal penalties.
You wouldn't throw out the 200,000 votes of their neighbors because someone might have voted fraudulently in Dane or Milwaukee counties, Jack? Got to throw them all out, baby, in the bathwater, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, only on an individual, one ballot at a time basis. Anyway, thirdly, all votes not determined to be fraudulent must be counted. And finally, and this is the kicker, anyone, whether lawyer, witness, or plaintiff, who attempts to reverse any certified election result with what the court determines is no evidence of fraudulent evidence shall be subjected to minimum perjury penalties and anything else that the legislation specifies.
How about a public flogging? Draw and quarter them.
Oh, it's terrible.
Jack, you know, I wish they didn't seem like such quaint notions, like every vote should count and we should count every legal ballot. And the accusations, the allegations of perhaps, outside caregivers going into a nursing home in the state of Wisconsin, Dan O'Donnell got lots of mileage. Somebody's parent didn't have the cognizant abilities to vote the way they voted because, we're Republicans. I can't believe 101-year-old grandma might vote for a Democrat. Well, they must have been overly influenced. They must have had their vote stolen.
Yeah, that was his testimony, but did he provide any names or evidence thereof?
Well, he had a couple names, couple people, mostly the kids, speaking on behalf of the parents, because we don't like how the parents voted. They're old. Those boomers shouldn't have the right to vote for Joe Biden, certainly.
Okay,
That's not
boomer.
what we would have done had we been here to overly influence the outcome of their votes. But that was the only example of any voter fraud that was even alleged. But of course, you only heard the prosecution side. There was no defense. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates.
It's wildly off, and dead people voted, and illegals voted.
Okay.
So that's my answer.
You're presuming that all the information you have there is completely factual.
I know what I saw.
Microwaves that turn into cameras, etc.
What did you guys do? Take it and do something crazy to it?
I'm not in the job of having evidence. That's what investigations are for.
I signed something saying that if I'm wrong, I can go to prison. Did you?
This is nonsense if it continues.
Okay, boomer.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the Co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and seed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
5 9s, your local single source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
Tune into Sharp Elbows. It's on at 10 a.m. Saturdays with me, Representative Francesca Hong, and my friend Nada Elmakashvi. Every Saturday morning, we want to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the world. Whether it's on the biggest issues, current events, or people who inspire us, let's discuss it all. It's kind of like brunch, but with politics, guests, and callers. No shortage of fun, but also be prepared for some serious truth-telling. Talk to y'all soon.
Sharp Elbows premieres January 2nd only on Devil Radio 92.7. Like, wow, Scoob, it's Devil Radio. Rebel Radio?
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open for your take today at 844-967-2789. Let's get to them. Brian from Madtown, you are up. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Hey, Brian.
Hello?
Hey,
yes,
Brian,
sir. You're on the air.
Hey, yeah. So I totally agree with what Jack said. On an individual vote basis, if one is found, illegal, you investigate it and you throw it out and prosecute if you have to. Also, I just don't know if I should be talking to a doctor right now for an election that lasts this long. It's kind of concerning as a male and also a voter. I just don't know what to do. So I'll take your comments off the air. Thanks.
That's pretty funny.
Well
Brian.
done,
I
sir.
Appreciate that. Yes. Call your friends if you have an election.
House of learned doctors.
Here's the issue. Ultimately, these are process crimes, quote unquote. Well, there's supposed to be two separate applications for the absentee ballot, and they printed it on and used it for the last 12 years or 10 plus years on the envelope, and it's supposed to be a separate document altogether. I mean, that's the argument, right? That's what they're saying. I mean, notwithstanding that this happened last time, but now it's an issue. This isn't fraud. I mean, they're trying to change the rules. It's a scam. It's a joke. Oh, they're filling in, the state from the witness on that certification. Well, okay, that's what they did last time. Why is that a problem? No, it should never happen. Well, I mean, listen, this is not me casting two ballots, right? This is not somebody dead casting a ballot. If those things happen, absolutely, we don't want that to happen. No one wants that. I mean, that goes against everything that an open, free, fair election is, even if it's for an extra vote for the person I voted for. See how easy that is, Republicans?
Dominic, do you remember when the Packers played that preseason game? I believe it was in Canada a couple years ago, and they had some turf issues.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to
Yeah,
repair
bad
the turf.
Yeah.
And they shortened the field. They had like effectively an 80-yard football field. And historically speaking, you use a 100-yard football field.
Well, I mean.
But it would be quite different if after they played the game, and, often wagering goes on in football, if after you'd laid the wager and played the game, if then retroactively, they had shortened the field. And they went back and determined, the Packers had 4 more touchdowns under that scenario. So anyways, we're going to move the goalpost, move the goal line after the game's played. And if you had objection, you talk about illegal voting behaviors. It's not illegal. This is some damn administrative code executed. The only cast of illegality is the quote unquote bad advice given back in March about being indefinitely confined. And, a couple of county clerks had to take it off their website. So
and to be clear, that bad advice was only given for a couple of days, to my understanding. Is that right?
Yes, before the Wisconsin State Supreme Court said that's bad advice, take it back. So they did. And now the next election, actually 2 elections technically later,
before the April
because we had an
election.
August primary as well, and then we had a November general election. And now the Trump team wants to go back and retroactively shorten it down to an 80-yard field and move the goalpost over on the sidelines. So none of your field goals counted. And all your extra points, they didn't count because the goalposts were over there. We moved them after you kicked them. And most Republicans, they'd be like, well, as long as the Packers are going to the playoffs, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Because I want to win. I want to win. And in fact, not only do I want to win, but I want to install the same rules for my team cheating for the next decade. They call it gerrymandering down.
Yeah.
Where you get to pick the referees? Hell, that's like the Republicans getting to play on a 40-yard field and the Democrats having to play on a 60-yard field every game. And then they say, we got better players and better plays. 844-967-2789. I cannot think of enough asinine analogies to try and make it sink into these conservatives. How idiotic this seems. You played the game. You lost the election. And now you're moving the goalpost.
They played the game, and Tom Tiffany, a congressman from Wisconsin, won the election. He won under these circumstances.
And he also signed on with the Texas lawsuit. He was a signatory thereof by his identified, not Tom Tiffany citizen, but Congressman Tom Tiffany signed on, said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to overturn the will of Wisconsin voters, even though I live in the state of Wisconsin, and this is a Texas lawsuit.
And even though I was elected by my constituency to represent them.
Well, that was a foregone conclusion, man. He was in the Senate when they passed the gerrymandering.
I want, as Tom Tiffany, my election to be nullified? I mean, if this were to happen, what's Tom Tiffany's end game?
Well,
he's not elected?
They weren't going to nullify votes in that part of the state up there in Trump country. They were just going to nullify Gwen Moore and Mark Pocan, right? Because you always want to get rid of the Democratic votes.
Obviously, that got denied, so we'll never know, at least hopefully at this point. But certainly there would be an option for another person to jump in, call it President-elect Joe Biden and say, well, if you're going to have this application. And that's another huge freaking problem, Republicans. What you want is not only the rules to be different for Republicans and for Democrats, you want them to be different in only 2 stadiums.
Donald Trump literally killed the USFL. There was an alternative football league, and Trump, through his glorious actions as a general manager, killed the league, not just for himself, but for every team owner. And even Donald Trump wasn't trying to move the goalpost after the games were played. Not yet. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. The happy hour continues. Your phone calls welcome. 844-967-2789. That was a 9-point field goal we just kicked.
Electric Avenue. Electric Avenue. Electric Avenue.
This is a house of learned doctors.
We're not doctors.
Because we're very high.
Supplying your political fix in the back roads, WTTN 1580 AM and Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
A sad record. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. 300,000, the U.S. death toll from the coronavirus pandemic. That sad milestone reached on the same day shots were being given for the first time in an historic vaccination campaign. New York critical care nurse Sandra Lindsay got the first vaccination in her state.
I want to instill public confidence that the vaccine is safe. We're in a pandemic, and so we all need to do our part.
Members of the Electoral College are meeting and voting in essence to confirm Joe Biden's election.
The electors of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania have cast 20 votes for the Honorable Joseph R. Biden for President of the United States.
Georgetown University Law Professor Caroline Fredrickson says the voters in each state have cast ballots for a slate of electors.
Those electors are really merely representing what the voters of that state have decided.
Biden delivers a primetime speech this evening. I'm Tim McGuire.
Hi, I'm Ken Murray, founder of Retirement Planners of America. Do you have a 401k or IRA that took a beating and needs help? Do you want to protect what you have and grow from here? We want to offer you a free virtual retirement consultation. We can help you build a plan to get through this current crisis and then create a plan for what's next. There's absolutely no charge or obligation.
Call for your free consultation now. 800-375-1159. It's 800-375-1159.
When it comes to the radio, we all have our reason to fight over the dial.
Sports talk, entertainment news. Sports talk, entertainment news.
But with some things in life, we can all win. Like at TD Ameritrade, where we offer 2 different mobile apps. TD Ameritrade Mobile is great for the investor who wants a simple way to track the market, while Thinkorswim Mobile offers a more in-depth trading experience. Visit tdameritrade.com/apps to find the one that's right for you. TD Ameritrade, where smart investors get smarter. Member SIPC.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Monday, December 14th. Wisconsin has surpassed 4,000 deaths to COVID-19, the State Department of Health Services reported Saturday. Health officials confirmed 50 new deaths that day, bringing the statewide death toll to 4,041 since the pandemic began. Several Democratic lawmakers abruptly left in protest of a GOP-led hearing billed as an investigation into Wisconsin's 2020 presidential election, but included testimony rife with unfounded claims of voter fraud and lacking in actual hard evidence. Forecast of a windy day for the area today, slight chance of precipitation late this morning. High today of 22 degrees, low of 10 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's a Holy Mackerel Monday, don't you know? Dominic, I got more mischief in the works for later in the week, but, trying to clarify a few points. Want to clarify this point, then we'll get back to the phones in just a moment. 844-967-2789. Travis Getty's reporting dangerous fanaticism. Conservatives fear Trump has fatally corrupted evangelical Christianity. Fatally corrupted it. Conservative writer David French is increasingly dismayed by his fellow evangelicals who are unflinchingly loyal to President Donald Trump. White evangelical Christians back Trump to the end, and many remain convinced he will remain president despite losing the popular vote by more than 7 million votes in the Electoral College 306 to 232. French told MSNBC's Morning Joe that his fellow conservatives are handling it well. One compared people who are letting this election normal transition occur lawfully to Germans who acquiesced or enabled the rise of Hitler, French said. I mean, this is the level of discourse we're talking about here. And it wasn't just 1992 to 2000 that evangelicals valued character. Evangelicals place character as the highest value of all American religious subgroups in evaluating leaders until around late 2015, early 2016. I wonder what happened then. He goes on, I quote, since that time, it is one thing to say Trump's Republican. I'm a Republican. He supports my policies. I may not like his character, but I'm making a tough choice, he added. That's not what we've seen lately. What we've been seeing is people willing to demolish the Constitution, the rule of law, to keep this person in power. Many GOP lawmakers signed on to the Texas lawsuit, looking at you, Tom Tiffany, aimed at overturning the election in the U.S. Supreme Court. And French said many of them likely did so based on their religious views. I know many of the 126 members of Congress, French said. I am very aware of many of these 126 members of Congress who signed this unconscionable amicus brief trying to reverse the election in 4 states. Most guys would say that they're absolutely Christians. The Texas GOP, which called for secession, is saturated with Christians. So this is a level of commitment to the man Donald Trump that the whole argument about holding your nose, that's over. That's yesterday's news. These people are all in for him, believing he has a very specific mission from God and that America will fall. America will fall, he added. Again, not all Christians, but his core. They believe that the fate of the church, the fate of the United States are inextricably bound up together with Donald Trump. It's a stunning argument. It's creating dangerous fanaticism, and I'm very worried about its effect now and in the future. As am I, Dom. And I'm not even a conservative columnist.
If you think the evangelicals are going to be upset when they realize Donald Trump didn't win the election, how do you think they're going to feel when they realize there is no God?
There is no God.
844-967-2789.
There may be no God, but there's a real Santa Claus. He advertises
Brian,
on this radio station.
His name is Fancy Brian. Hey, Brian, I know you wanted to jump on the mic, went to the break before. Did you have something you want to throw in there, man?
Oh, yeah. I think you guys are just really ignoring a very, very valid Republican point that I think a lot of us are just not really paying attention to. And it's this. But I don't like it. And Trump is not fair. And that's a very, very important, valid point.
I made those points when I was about 1 year old myself.
He's God's chosen one, though. I mean, if you're truly a believer, if you are an evangelical on the edge of fanaticism, and you believe that, well, Come on, man. I would count myself an evangelical. Don't tell me we're all fanatical, because you can believe in Jesus Christ. Hell, the man's practically a socialist. It's not just about celebrating Christmas and giving gifts. It's about good deeds.
Well, I guess I'm unclear
of
what we're talking about. What is a definition as an atheist then, for conversation's sake? What is the definition of an evangelical?
Sure, someone that believes that you have to make a conscious effort to accept Jesus Christ into your life.
So how's that different from a general run-of-the-mill Christian then? I thought that was kind of the general rule.
Depending on which sect of Christians you're part of, some you're born into it, right? You're born a Catholic, you die a Catholic.
I know, but I'm the evangelical part. Is that like, if you're an evangelical,
you've taken a conscious step. Often it
go and recruit other people. Does that make you an evangelical?
That's part of it, supposedly. I was never big on that.
I'm just asking. I really don't know.
Stop asking and I'll start answering, man.
All right, please do.
Part of it often involves an adult baptism, people that have recommitted themselves to Jesus Christ in the church. And I would throw myself in that column many years ago. Hell, I went to church with a anti-masker Casey Hellbach. We were friends. We went golfing almost every Friday. Me and Casey and the pastor, back before wearing a mask was a big issue. But I don't know where Casey and I and the evangelicals parted, Dom, because I thought it was all about worshiping the good works of Jesus Christ. And apparently I was completely wrong because Jesus Christ would never accept Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ would not be down for DJT.
Well, but listen, in as the atheist, you have no idea any more than they have idea of what this fictional character would accept or would not accept. You understand?
Well, there is a book. It's called the Bible.
I understand that.
They did set some ground rules.
There's lots of books.
Even
Doesn't
if
make
you
it
don't,
real. I mean, there's carvings in the wall in Egypt. Doesn't mean
Okay.
Horus actually existed. But this is my point, man. You think
it's
like,
a
well,
dismissive
everyone
point,
else
but go
is-
ahead and dismiss
they're
the
not
rest
as-
of our faith.
I'm sorry?
It's a dismissive point because my point was going to be they wrote a Bible. They set a rule book. And those that believe in it being the Christians, you can't throw out the rule book and say, yeah, but, you know, I crap on the poor people.
Well, of course you can, because it's a matter of interpretation, is it not?
No, I don't think it should be. Dom, I think there is a Bible. I think there are 10 commandments. I read about them occasionally, often in Republican writings. And you're supposed to believe in the good works, in the rule book. You can't throw out the rules and say, I'm any sort of Christian I want to be. But that is what happened to the evangelicals. That is not what Jesus taught us. That's not what the Bible teaches us. It never said worship the
Listen, you can do
sexual
you do
assaulter
whatever
in
you
chief.
want. You do whatever you want during the week. You go and you ask for forgiveness. You are now forgiven. And oh yeah, by the way, my interpretation is that God loves the rich people. You can absolutely, again, it's a purely
That's only if you go to
interpretive.
Joel Osteen's church or Ron Johnson's, perhaps. 844-967-2789. You're so dismissive of the faith.
I'm not
Dude, there's been
dismissive.
like
What I'm
40 different versions of the same Bible written by a bunch of people who just wanted to go and screw a little bit more, so they rewrote the entire Bible because of it. And then not even one text that has been an original text of the Bible was written anywhere close to 100 years past the death of Jesus anyway. So there's not even a chance that there was any sort of in-person analysis of it. I'm not saying that the lessons of the Bible aren't valid. I'm not saying that the things that are taught in it are not valid. I'm just saying to go and take that book and say this is and this is all it is, and this is the real thing, and it's not interpretation, is just frankly I don't want to deal with the reality of what the actual thing is, because that's what it is.
And then forgive me if I'm not surprised that that same mentality are the kind of people that would give all sorts of money to Joel Osteen, will give all sorts of money to Donald Trump. It is exactly the same mentality. That is why it happens. But here's what I'm doing. I'm telling you from an atheist perspective, someone who does not believe in it. You're looking at this from a believer, looking at other, not even just a believer, but a Christian believer, looking at the actions of other Christian believers. So you're within your own bubble. I'm outside. I say, well, I don't believe any of that. So I see a little more connection to that kind of paternalistic, selling of snake oil, because I think that's what the whole thing is of religion is anyway.
But they've taken the Christ out of Christmas. It's not just about the Tannenbaum at the state capitol, man. It's not about a tree. It's about a behavior pattern. And that's the part that I find so problematic. It's easy to dismiss if you're an atheist, no doubt. But what I would say is I always was brought up to believe in the good works of Christianity, of acting in a Christ-like manner. That's the part of Christianity that's been thrown overboard.
If you are all men sinners in this belief?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then, and they can go and
I know you're a sinner.
If they ask for forgiveness, they are then forgiven and they go to heaven anyway.
That is the
okay.
belief.
So you
That
can do
one
anything
be
you want
absolved of their
and
sins.
be a fallible, sinful human being,
As we all
ask
are.
for forgiveness, and you're good to go. Just
Well,
want to be
it's
clear
not a
on
get
this.
out of jail free
Well,
card.
what
the way
is
it's
it
being
then?
treated.
So when does it stop and when does it start then?
You're acting like we don't have any choice over our actions. It's just be as bad as you want to be and then show up at church and Holy
doesn't that
Mary,
work?
all's forgiven.
So that doesn't work.
Ultimately, Dominic, you're either a Christian that believes in the teachings of Jesus Christ, or you're what these guys act like. And you can claim yourself an evangelical, but if there's no Christ in your Christianity, you don't meet the definition, in my opinion. And that doesn't make me more or less faithful than you or Fancy Brian or anybody else. I'm just telling you, man, it was about Christ when I joined the church. And it's long since stopped being about Jesus Christ. 844-967-2789. Let's sneak at least one in here. There'll be time for more. Joe from Madison, welcome.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for waiting.
Fascinating discussion, and I'm sorry to drag it off in another direction, perhaps.
Oh, no, we had no idea we were going there ourselves, Joe.
Well, fascinating and really worth exploring as the season continues, that's for sure. I had a question about fact, and I am curious if you guys know this, and it is this. They were talking about a group in Arizona of, quote, representing the sovereign citizens of Arizona, not the state legislature, who said to the National Archives a copy that they said was of their electors who were voting for Trump, and they sent this into the National Archives and said, look, we're all done. We beat the other Arizona electors to it. We were first at the gate, and so our electors count. Now, people were saying these folks they're engaging in fraud and they're engaging in forgery. And if they send it through the United States Postal Service, it's mail fraud too. My question is, do you guys know if you're sending an alternative set of electors in Wisconsin, as is being talked about, isn't that fraud? How do these people represent us? Who are you to say that? I mean, why not send an alternative set of electors? Why not 6 or 7 alternative set of electors? You know, I mean, maybe the socialists would like alternative set.
Right. Don't forget Kanye.
You know? Yeah. So where is this legal? I mean, what is the provision within the Constitution or our state laws that allow for an alternative set of electors, which would presumably.
It doesn't. It's outside the legal construct that currently exists.
But
they're just making it up at this point, Joe.
But isn't it fraud? I mean, they're saying it's fraud. They're saying they represent us when we already had a vote that said this is what the majority wants.
Joe?
Yeah, I mean, based on that, now do you have standing to sue, and who is the enforcement mechanism for something like that? I'm not clear yet, Joe, and I haven't heard about the Arizona thing, so I'll have to look into that. But we are, the citizens of the world kind of argument. I think Wesley Snipes made that argument when he did his taxes. I think there is that mentality out there, Joe. Usually when you're trying not to pay taxes, but I'm not clear how that would hold up in these circumstances.
I thought that was your religion, Dom. Tax avoidance. Church of tax avoidance.
Hey, man, churches, they don't pay property taxes. I just got to have a mass at my crib like once a week, and apparently I don't have to pay my property taxes anymore.
You
know how
that
goes.
I'm quite sad. I lost my church, the Church of Rastafarian. Remember?
That's right.
Boys were running a little illegal dispensary downtown. Join the church, give a couple bucks, and, forgiving all your local statute sins.
I tell you what, man, just give me a couple bucks less. I'll forgive you all your sins, and save a little bit of money. Dominic's Discount Church. Come, we're open all the time.
Blue light specials on sins and pardons, and come back with us. One last segment. Your call's welcome. 844-967-2789.
When someone asks you if you're a god, you say, yes, I am the chosen one.
No, I'm not going to join a cult.
So, Darcy, it's too bad we can only meet during 30-second commercials because I have some follow-up questions for you.
Sure, Dom. I'll give you 20 seconds.
Well, you say don't call the sign to see the property with that agent, or you're not free to write an offer for me. But why? And why is it your services would be free?
Those are excellent questions, Dom. Just not for a radio ad. Just go to our website
at solidarityrealty.com
and click on the orange button on the homepage that says, why not just call the sign?
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. And you won't be limited to 30 seconds. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
My life's mission was to defeat Donald Trump and turn Wisconsin blue. Mission accomplished, but the battle has only just begun. Devil Radio and WTTN 1580 AM have continued broadcasting the truth, persevering through the pandemic, supporting public health professionals, and turning out the vote in Madison and Dane County in record numbers. Can you help us survive and thrive for the battles to come? Please consider giving a contribution at GoFundMe. Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. Every dollar helps us continue and makes us stronger.
The Lazy Wolf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Wolf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazywolflounge.com.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for the Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
From Bernie to Biden to even Trump supporters, Devil Radio is the political fix for every Wisconsinite. Always streaming at darnwi.com.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, pick up the phone and join us right now at 844-967-2789. Some breaking news, couple of them headlining in the news from today. California has cast its electoral votes for Joe Biden, formalizing his victory in the presidential race. The Washington Post is right now reporting, and also CNN is reporting Attorney General William Barr has resigned.
Nice! I understand he'll be out of office by December 23rd, Dom. A Christmas miracle indeed.
I think Jared Kushner is going to get that job. What do you think? I don't know. I mean, he's got nothing to do, right?
I hear Eric's looking for work. 844-967-2789. Peter, you have been the most patient. Welcome back, sir. Peter from Merton.
I was just wondering, I may have misdialed. Like I was listening to the Christian Broadcast Network just a little while ago here.
Come on, man. Don't get me started, Peter.
This is just an altar boy who had to do it in Latin, you know. So anyway,
wow.
I get back to this Supreme Court today, and I just want to know whatever happened to the district judge and his what he wrote about it. I didn't see any of his what he said, you know, in the writings today by these radical reactionary justices. I thought appellate courts were supposed to go over the opinion of what the lower guy did. All they did is restate their facts, and which they're not supposed to do, and come up with what they wanted to do for a result. And then you have good old Rebecca, who then projected and said, "Oh, the majority is knew the opinion, and they wanted to write, and they came up with the rationale."
Peter, you expected them to follow objective legal norms, man? Not move the goalposts, not declare touchdowns worth 71 points.
Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to say. And you guys still do a very good job. I'll let someone else get in here. But I was a happy day we finally got this thing done.
Yeah. Wow.
God bless you for listening, Peter. 844-967-2789. Here's a new one. Norm from Horford, Wisconsin. Norm, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, Norm.
Yeah, hey, that's Orfordville, Wisconsin.
Orfordville.
That's my bad, Norm.
Okay, thanks much. Say, I think Mahatma Gandhi has the best quote ever concerning Christians and especially evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Lay it on us.
I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ. I think that says it all.
I guess, Norm, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. That was, in essence, the point I was trying to make. Whether or not you believe Christ existed, was a historical figure, a chosen one. I mean, there are some rules, and he was a pretty good guy, and he did say take care of the poor and the sick and the Republicans don't do any of that, but they continuously wrap themselves in the Bible and the flag and the Trump presidency, and it's just galling to me.
Gandhi also was asked the question, what do you think about Western civilization? And he said, I think it'd be a good idea.
844-967. You take that back, Gandhi. 844-967-2789. Sam, I believe that's Watertone. Sam, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, Sam.
Hey, guys. Hey, I got to remind you about a quote from the late, great Molly Ivins, about the Baptists in Texas. And there's only one problem with them. They don't hold them underwater long enough.
Wow.
That's all I got. Fancy Brian's got some, going to have some info for you later.
Okay, Sam. Thank you for listening. 844-967-2789.
That's a joke, people. That's a joke. It's funny.
89. I'd like to baptize you for hours,
I know you would.
Pizza the Box. Welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, Michael.
Yeah, I guess I'm at that point where I don't know. I haven't laughed for a few days. I don't know if it's like, I'm hoping it's 3/4 life crisis. That would give me another 20 years.
Yeah.
But I'm just watching this world just insanely not care about climate change, the animals, the insects. I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but I don't ever see us really coming out of this. I mean, it's like, what were the two most important things we talked about going into the election? Right? We talked about health care for all and definitely the environment and climate change. We're not talking about that. I mean, we're talking about it, but we're not going to have policies that match that. And it just discourages me to no end to watch all the, and this Biden administration, sure, of course, it's going to be much more competent than Trump administration, but are they willing? And when I say that, I mean, are they willing to finally help the people that deserve it the most? You want to talk about a Christian nation where the wealthiest people don't do anything for poor people, and poor people will give you the shirt off your back, man. That's my experience with Christianity in this country.
Michael, appreciate your call, buddy. Got a few more we'd like to try to get to. PT from Milwaukee. Welcome back, PT. What do you got for us?
Well, God bless you guys. God bless you, Crute and Dom. I just can't believe the things you're saying about Jesus Christ. These Republicans, what they're doing is a big sham, and they're just trying to raise money off of naive Republicans, and they're falling for it big time. That's all they're doing. All right?
Bigly.
So God bless you.
I didn't know PT could do the church lady.
That was pretty good.
One more, good, Doug from Randolph. You'll have the final say today. Doug, what do you got for us?
Hey, Doug, welcome.
Oh, yes, gentlemen. Just a religious thing. A friend told me that Republicans are on the God side because if you don't believe in me, I'm going to send a flood and I'm going to kill you all. And Jesus is on the Democrat side because you're going to take care of the poor and the needy. So that's it for me.
Doug, is it possible God sent a pandemic? I mean, if you're a believer, is it possible this was the warning shot he sent across the bow?
My wonderful 94-year-old mother says, yes, God sent the pandemic to straighten us all out, but the Lord will save us. That's what she says.
Well, the Lord also gave us Donald Trump, if you believe.
And the Lord. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Sent a rowboat and 2 helicopters, man.
Appreciate all our fine guests. They included Fallone Law Professor, Marquette University, Khary Penebaker, DNC Elector from the great state of Wisconsin. On tomorrow's big show, Bill Press, Harvey K., and maybe a little legal advice from Jeff Scott Olson. We'll see.
We'll see.
See if we need it. Maybe. We'll need to get bailed out. Now stick around. Earl Ingram Jr., he'll bail us out. And then Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood with Alan Robinson. Thank you, Fancy Brian. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you all for listening. Have a great night. We'll do it again on Tuesday.
this is not normal.
Well, history is written by the winner, so it largely depends on who's writing the history.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast? Just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say. Do you